Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This episode 140, Machete from 2010. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Roberto Lovato's Unforgetting, a memoir of family, migration, gangs, and revolutions in the Americas by HarperCollins. I would like to take a minute to read you the first line. The machete of memory can cut swiftly or slowly.
Wow, okay. Well, shout out to Roberto Lovato and welcome back, I guess, to Robert Rodriguez's week and a half here on Too Fast, Too Forever. We covered Alita Battle Angel. There was a new trailer, not a new trailer, but a new poster that I posted last night as we're recording this that, now it's back in theaters, so maybe Machete will return to theaters. Maybe we will inspire something. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works, but we are back here to talk more Robert Rodriguez movies starring or featuring Michelle Rodriguez. But first, Joe, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to since we last spoke?
Nothing much, but I had a fun story for you about Amazing Race. So we were watching season 3 of Amazing Race, and for the second time in 2 seasons, a woman takes a man on the show. She's like, we've been friends forever. We possibly want to start dating, so we're going to do this and see how it goes. And I told you about the double mint twins, right? There's like 5 teams left, and she decided that she has a huge crush on one of the twins and spends all of her time hanging out with them. This guy has to watch his half a girlfriend be in like a half a relationship with another teammate. And I'm like, God damn it, the second time in 2 seasons that we've had to see this.
That's so weird.
It's so strange. Like, she's like waiting up for them. They like had to ride this train to get from like one place to another. And she's like, okay, you stay in this car. I'm gonna go in the car with them. And like just like leaves him alone. Like, I get it, but also like in the middle of the race though, dude, come on.
Are you gonna watch the new season? I think just started.
I like the older ones. I don't want to spoil. So this is what I was saying to Rachel. Like, there's like, I know that they're still making them, and we saw like advertisements for the new ones. And I'm like, I don't want it to be like Battle of the All-Stars or like guess who's coming back because they won last time.
I only knew that it started because of Never Not Funny was talking about it because they were both.
Yeah.
I was saying that how they were both watching the show. Now they were saying like, oh, we're probably going to talk about this a lot this season because like it's the first time we're both watching it live. And I don't get the impression that it's All-Stars, but maybe it is. I don't know. I totally get where you're coming from. You don't want to spoil season 3 by watching season 23 40. Or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's something ridiculous. Either way, it's all nonsense and stupid, and like we put it on and like cook and stuff like that because you just like look up and they're like, oh, they're doing something else, and they're gonna tell you who loses and then who.
Anything else that you guys have been up to since we last spoke?
No, I think that's it. Watching some sports.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what I've done, and I've watched a couple more movies, but nothing to write home about. So hopefully next time I'll have seen some new horror movies that I can recommend, but the ones that I've seen recently, I'm just like, okay. Like, nothing terrible, but also nothing good, nothing worth really talking about.
We queued up a mini documentary, like a 3-parter, that's called The Quiz.
Oh, I watched that. Yeah, it aired earlier this year. I didn't like it. I think it's okay. It feels, so it's about the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire cheating scandal in the UK.
Yeah, which I didn't even know about.
I think that's the thing. Like, I don't remember exactly. Like, I watched it in early June, because it was only 3 parts. It was a BBC thing, and it was cool that it was short. It was underwhelming to me. I didn't know what I was hoping for, but it wasn't that, because it's not a documentary. It's a fiction. It's a dramatization. Like, it's.
But is it based on a true story? I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I think a documentary could have been better.
We watched like a couple of these. They made a couple of these, and they like were on Game Show Network, I think. And we watched like one about a guy that figured out how to cheat on Press Your Luck. Mm-hmm. And he like memorized the like pattern. Because it was old school. Do you remember Press Your Luck?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he remembered the pattern. But anyways, I was like curious about this, but now that you said that,
like it's not bad. Like I looked up my Letterboxd review of it, and I felt like, because it's only 3 episodes, and the first 2 were, I feel like the tension in the first 2 is generated just because you know how Millionaire works, because everybody knows how Millionaire works. And then I think if I knew it was a real thing, and I think this is exactly your point, like if I knew this was a real thing, I'd be like, oh, I remember that. Like I remember like comparing to McMillions, right? Like I remember the McDonald's Monopoly game, and I remember there is some vaguely like some cheating or like I remember kind of like that, and I was like, oh, the documentary, like the way that was told was more interesting. The things I liked about it were just I like Millionaire. You know what I mean? Like I just it's
Yeah.
so. But watch it. I mean, it's literally 2.5 hours, not including commercials. Like it's short. Like it's like essentially a movie, right? So if you watch it, let me know what you think. Actually, I will say that I've been watching a series that my friend Bob told me to watch. It's from Adult Swim. I think all the episodes are on AdultSwim.com, except for maybe one. But there's a show called The Shivering Truth, which is an Adult Swim show, and there's only 12 episodes, and it is like stop motion animation. It's the weirdest show. Like I don't know how to describe it, but check out if you just want like a weird, like kind of body horror, sort of Halloween-ish adjacent thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's unlike anything I've seen before. The episodes are 10.5 minutes. It feels like there's an hour's worth of plot in them. It blows through. It's insane, and it is like the weirdest thing. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to describe it. But if you want something weird and kind of gross and unusual, The Shivering Truth on AdultSwim.com has 11 of the 12. They pulled one episode because it was like very anti-cop, but like other episodes are like very anti-other things too. So I don't know. It like no sacred cows or whatever, right? Like it's
Yeah.
2 seasons of 6 episodes each. I think it's coming back for a 3rd season at some point. I don't know when. Weird show, but I recommend it. Joe, we have a Patreon page here on the show, toofast2forever.com. Oh, actually, by the way, today is election day. If you have not voted yet, if you have not, done early voting, if you have whatever, go vote. Go vote for
Socially distanced,
responsible, wear a mask, all that stuff. Vote for Biden. Make the country sane, please, or something. I don't know. It's going to be bad no matter what happens, but just go do that thing if you have not yet. Jesus Christ. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenin, Justin Kleinman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, West Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden, Renato DiDonato, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting the $5 level or above. Your support is truly appreciated.
Did you see Wells's tweet yesterday where he listed all the Patreons?
No, I gotta look. Hold on. Twitter.com.
I retweeted it.
That's very funny. He emailed in today. He has one email that we're going to get to.
But I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, you definitely hear these every episode. And he didn't even tag us or anything. He just listed them like he was doing the
funny.
Joey. I know, it really cracked me up.
Good job, Wells. Thank you so much.
That was really funny.
If you want to help pick what we cover the next 3 laps, if you want to know what the next 3 lap themes are, we're 2 patrons away from what we thought was going to be a movie commentary. I don't think we're going to do that because you and I were talking what else is there to say?
And we've done watch-alongs. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It was we do watch-alongs, and I guess that's kind of our live movie commentary. So,
but we can do some kind of Patreon
out.
Exclusive, maybe like an episode or cover a movie or a TV show or something that just never gets released to the feed. So once we get 20, we'll figure something out. But yeah, toofast2forever.com. If you want to support us over there, kick us a couple bucks, get some stickers, merch, control our lives. We also have an email address, family@cageclub.me. Joe, 5 emails today. A lot of emails.
5?
Yeah.
Wow.
First up from the aforementioned Wells Lamont, what did the patient say to the mean dentist?
I don't know.
You hurt my feelings. Too Fast, Too Furious, here we go. That was the subject line. I love Too Fast, Too Furious. It was always one of my faves, but as I'm watching it, I find so little to take notes on because it's what's there to say at this point? You guys are better than I am at picking these movies apart. We'll see how it goes. The movie just started. LOL. I don't say we're better. We all see different things. That's the whole point of the show.
Yeah, that's how we bring in different people and guests, because there's still things that we learn, perspectives that we've never thought about. In these movies.
It says, what made Fonzie and his partner race Brian and Roman for their Cracker Jack toys? Muscleheads don't want fixie cars. I understand they're worth thousands of dollars, but it always seemed weird to me.
I think they're just going to sell them and buy more muscle cars.
Last thing for this email, how on earth did they not drop one of those fat bags of money into someone else's car when they did the 50-car switch in the big, huge garage? It really made the movie better that they took around 50 G's cash each or more, but I would like the whole bag's worth. Either way, they came up fat, so I'm happy, haha.
Every time I see, $4 million worth of cocaine confiscated, I'm like, oh, that was $40 million worth of cocaine confiscated, and the cops turned in $4 million worth of it. Especially, okay, that's drugs, that's one thing. So, I'm sure there's people that are, anti-drugs and, cash. You make a bust, and there's just cash there. It's like, what's the difference between 100 grand and 50 grand?
Well, I
Like,
mean, well, 50 grand is a difference in math terms, but
yeah,
in 3 or 4 years in the movie universe, they're all going to be multi-millionaires anyway. So, like, maybe this is good karma that they turned in the money and they were able to successfully pull off the heist in Rio. So, who knows?
there's one season of The Wire where they like confiscate money and they're like, what happened to the money? And like Herc and the guy that becomes the sergeant, they're like missing because like on The Wire they heard them say they had like 80 grand, but like when they turn it in, there's only like 40.
Maybe that's why you don't do it, because maybe they know somewhere.
Are criminals really being like, oh man, where's my 80 grand at? Criminals are.
Well, I mean,
being
if
stupid.
you're turning into the criminals, or like here, you're turning into the police, right? And the police are like,
You could disappear it. I'm saying if I was a cop and there was money to be found and nobody knew how much it should be, I would always skim off the top.
I mean, we also don't know that they didn't. I mean, we see the money in their waist, but we don't know that it wasn't somewhere else too, right? So
Fair. Yeah, good point.
he says, "Okay, bros, on to the Fast and Furious presents Tokyo Drift. I'll see you guys on the other side."
I'm glad he's doing a rewatch though. That's cool.
Yeah.
And thanks for the tweet again because it really cracked me up last night. So thank you.
The next two emails are from Montez. First one, October 2019.
Okay.
I finally made it to lap 5.
She's cruising, dude. But like you said, I think 6 is kind of where they get really dense.
When did we go weekly? I think we went weekly around here,
6.
right? So she's in the every 2 weeks portion. I think she's now maybe she lists her thoughts. I still haven't seen past 5.
Yeah.
Every time I tell my husband that I need to introduce our son to these movies, he groans. He says our dude is obsessed with anything with wheels, so it's only a matter of time.
Okay. that's
I like
good.
that Montez hates these movies to some extent, but her husband hates them even more. Like, that's wild. She says, listening to Joey have to read these sex scenes is both painful and hilarious.
You and My Lifespan's the best thing that we do on this podcast by far.
I've been listening to these episodes at 1.5 speed to try and crush them all. I do not fault you for that. I listen to all of not our podcasts, but all of our network's podcasts at higher speeds. Although I do cut down on a lot of stuff. So like, and I talk more quickly than most other people I know. So like, I don't know how you're able to do that. Like, I'm commending you. That is impressive that I cut out all the dead space and I speak so fast.
Yeah, they're cranking.
Very funny. So Brian and Kyle know that I listen to podcasts faster, and especially when they do a full movie rewatch of a Hoffman movie, I listen way faster because like a lot of it is dead air because they're just watching a movie and they're reacting in real time. Those I'll listen at like 2.5 or 3 times speed, like just like way faster. Oh, you watched a 3-hour movie. I'm not going to spend 3 hours, even an hour and a half. Like, I'm just going to, whatever.
Yep.
But they wanted to ask me a question, and so I don't know how slowly they spoke, but they spoke slowly enough that it sounded normal speed to me at 3 times speed. It was like the funniest thing I've ever heard, because they were just like, oh, we need to ask Joey a question. Joey. It was very, very funny. So, shout out to those guys, and shout out to Montez.
That's awesome. Good for them.
She said, I tried slowing it back down to normal speed the other day, and it sounded like what I'm sure the equivalent of watching paint dry sounds like. Not saying you guys talk slow, but after 60 plus episodes of the faster speed, my brain isn't processing your normal voices anymore. Yeah, no, I totally know where you're coming from.
That's also going to be really weird. Like, next time we see Montez, she's going to be like, oh yeah, your voice is way different, right?
Once she catches up, she can maybe, go normal speed. I don't know. Okay, it is weird, though, to go from, even going from, like, listening to like Brian's show to like listening to Comedy Bang Bang or something, they're speaking normal speed. It's just like, wait, am I on drugs right now? Like, why does everything sound weird?
But I'm saying, like, we were just doing the thing with Nico, right? And Nico was like, oh yeah, I finally put like a face, because we don't record with video.
Right.
And he's like, I finally put like a face with a body, and like that feels weird. Like, imagine like you know the voice and you're like, that sounds familiar but not normal. Like,
yep.
Charlize with contacts or something.
Some episode I just listened to asked about Wahlburger. My favorite part of eating there was the listing of government cheese as a cheese option. Ooh, okay.
Ooh. So it's like Kraft, like government cheese.
I guess so.
Not Kraft, but Kraft, yeah.
I'm below 90 episodes. The end is so much closer than it was many moons ago. Although I feel like the last update we had was she was under 100, so like 10 closer is closer, but you still have 90 more to go, right? Plus 2 a week, so you'll get here eventually, Montez.
You'll catch up.
Chocolate ice cream with cayenne pepper added in is delicious.
I like the chocolate spicy combo.
Yep.
I don't know what that's in reference to, but
Nope.
Mexican hot chocolate type stuff. That's cool by me. I used to eat eat a lot of chocolate bars that had like cayenne in them.
There's some chocolatier or something in Seattle, and it's, fair trade and just like expensive chocolates, but it's delicious. And I went to their retail store when I was in Seattle for literally 2.5 hours. I was in Seattle long enough to walk to the place, Pike's Market, whatever. They weren't throwing the fish. I was like, nothing for me to do here. I went up the Space Needle. I got a burger, and I went to this chocolate shop. I'm like, okay, I did Seattle, gotta go. Like, I just didn't have time. I want to go back, but they have this shop, and I got one of the best spicy chocolates I've ever had there. But they have, for every type of candy bar, and they have, dozens, if not hundreds, they have like a little plastic container. They have like crumbled up chocolate that you can just try bits of whatever, and it's it's the greatest.
I love free samples, especially of chocolates, so I'm with you.
Also so amazing when you called the number in the Fast and the Furious Lap 5 and the dude answered, he sounded like that happened to him all the time. Who do we call then? I don't remember.
The only one that like really answered was the shop that was in the background of the street race. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were like, do you know that you're in the Fast and the Furious? And he's like, yes. And you're like, did they shoot there? And he's like, yeah. Right in front of our building. Yep. We're like, okay.
I mean, that church did not answer, but, sad but true.
Well, they're closed, but and it's pandemic.
I'll never again stop listening. This has become a full-time job. I understand the error of my ways. I'm glad I'm still a part of the family, I hope. Well, of course you are.
You always were, even not listening. But
we talked about her enough while she wasn't listening that she should still get a charge out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you were never forgotten.
On a random nostalgic note, I'm so glad I randomly met Joey at a wedding all those years ago. So we had this long-distance virtual friendship I hope lasts forever, Montez.
You're getting all kinds of, like, lovey friendship vibes this week. Between Dan's clock, Montez being excited she met you at a wedding.
Well, so, like, this, awesome. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but, like, I met her at my best friend growing up named Andrew was getting married, and I went to his bachelor party, which was a nightmare. And not a fun nightmare, just like oh boy. Okay. And, like, I was living in Austin, so I, like, flew up to these, and I was like, oh, boy. And then I went to the wedding, and because of the bachelor party, I was like, I'm not really, like, good friends with him, of course, and I want to be there for him because I'm a groomsman, too. But I'm like, yeah, this wedding is going to be, like, whatever. The night before, we have, like, the rehearsal dinner or whatever, and it was cool. It was fun. It was nice. And then we go back to his house, Andrew's house, and I meet Montez. I was so mad at I'm like, why did you not tell me that this, like, fun girl who, like, loves movies was going to, like, like, we would be best. Like, why did you? And they're like, oh, yeah, like, you would be friends. Huh. Okay, yeah. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, just think about it. Like, I don't know anybody. I know, like, 3 people here. Like, be like, oh, hey, you guys both like movies. Talk about things. Like, I
think that's one thing that I'm pretty decent at, is being like, this person and this person would really get along if they ever met. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, not like relationship-wise, but just like, you guys have very similar tastes. You'd have a lot to talk about. Boom, there you go.
Right.
And you'd be like, oh, wow.
Yeah, because I'm not like, hey, like, hook me up with her. Because she was already engaged at that point. But I'm just like, tell me that there's somebody here. Like, because my parents, I was talking to my parents tonight, and, like, I had a couple friends and whatever. But, like, oh, yeah, hey, there's this person you don't know. She loves movies. She likes weird shit. Like, yeah, you guys would get along.
A lot of bands is the similar, like, everything. You guys are... Yeah.
Then Montez sends another email. Today is my anniversary, ... This was 2 days ago, so happy anniversary, Montez. And I spent 5 minutes of it talking about this podcast. Crying, laughing as I made Sean, her husband, listen to exactly 3 minutes of Chapter 3 of You Are My Lifespan. This is who I am, apparently. Montez.
Dude, well, that was the best introduction you could have given him. And I hope Chapter 3 is the one with Kara when she says I'm story, because I think that's what that one was.
I can find out. Let's see here. How many have we done? Like 8? 7 or 8?
No, it's like 6 at the most.
Oh, we've done 6. You are right. We've done 6. I thought we were further along than we were, but we are not. You Are My Lifespan, Chapter 3. Oh, no. This is where Rachel plays Leon.
Oh, yeah, for one word.
For one word. What is it like?
Words.
What?
Yeah, it was something real dumb. It was like, no. You're like, okay. Cool. Like, that was Rachel playing Leon. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, Joe, our last 2 emails from the same person. Someone's not written in a while. Justin Kleinman. First subject line, I've had a few beers and I'm listening to Glenn Campbell.
Ooh, okay.
Man, I haven't written in a while. I keep hearing new episodes and thinking, damn, I was going to write in. Anyway, if it helps with the poll, I'm not wild about either option, but voted for the non-lost choice. You can retract my vote if it's a tie.
We kind of did that, so thanks for the okay.
Like, if you have a better idea, write in. Like, if people have an idea for a thing, like, we won't just say yes, but if you have an idea for a thing that we could do, like, ongoing as a segment, if you have another idea, we're willing to listen.
Yeah. We take suggestions.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times somebody sends us in like, hey, did you think about this movie? And we're like, no, we didn't.
Support us on Patreon. Maybe we'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, yeah, that was a really fucking good idea. Thanks.
It says, also, I made a maybe stupid choice with this purchase. See attached photo, which I think you've seen these probably on Facebook.
Let me see.
I thought about making it a car
Yeah.
picture, but you wouldn't get to it until 2022, so there it is. It's a 1981 Dodge motorhome with a big-ass 440 engine. Thing sounds ridiculous when it starts up. Anyway, it needs some love. We're basically just working on it every night. Super 80s, with orange carpet and every shade of brown you can imagine. P.S. I've loved every joke about Hank not liking spy racers.
Oh, good.
But yeah, this motorhome is amazing.
It looks like the meth-mobile from Breaking Bad, doesn't it? The crystal ship. Yeah, that's what I meant. And also, I want to know what this super horn is. Can I get a recording of all of the super horn options that you have, please? If you could send us an audio file of
God, yes. Please.
of the super horn. He has like this contraption that's wired into the dash.
That has a whole like big dedicated manual all to itself.
And it has at least 20 buttons on this thing?
It's a lot of buttons.
It's close to 20. So I would like to hear that. Oh, on a related note, that's really funny that he just bought this because my dad, for no reason, just bought a camper too.
Okay.
Like, I don't know why. He got like real excited about it, and he bought this.
I think there's a couple things going on here. Number one, for a project like this, it's a great thing to do while you're not able to go anywhere. And then also, you can go anywhere in this. Like, you don't have to stay in a hotel. You can just park at like a national park or something. Like, this is a great thing. I'm happy for you guys. This is awesome, Justin.
Yeah, no, it's super cool, and it looks like it's just like a ton of fun. And I like the retro vibe of it. Like, it fits, right? Like, it feels fun.
Although I did have a weird, and I don't want to add, this is just probably my level of paranoia that is not healthy, but there's a house that I walk by on my daily walk that has a Winnebago. Like, it's this big, beautiful, like, looks like brand new, huge Winnebago, right? Like, top of the line. And then I walked by recently and it's not there. And I'm like, oh, so they're probably just like on vacation somewhere. I'm like, wait, does that mean like the house is like empty? Like, it's this weird like criminal burglar thing where it's like, oh, there's a Winnebago in the parking lot or the driveway 80% of the time, and then it's not there. It's like, oh, house is open season, which I'm sure that's not actually the case, but it's also like, oh, that's a weird thing.
They could also have Ring doorbells and a security system, bud. So don't get too many ideas over there.
I mean, my parents' house got burglarized twice. It's just where my brain goes, right? It's just like, yeah,
that sucks.
Last email also from Justin, catching up on my notes. Once again, I have a bunch of notes in my work truck from listening. Most are super old since it's been so long since I wrote, so let's see. One time you were talking about strange and out-of-place accents. I don't know why. Anyway, reminded me of this time I was in a wedding in England. A lady there introduced me to her boyfriend from Mexico. I had so much trouble focusing on what he was saying because I'm so used to hearing a Mexican-American accent, but his English was British, so a combination of Mexican Spanish and the Queen's English. Throw in a few beers, some dance music, and his girlfriend's Scottish brogue, and the conversation was a disaster. I don't remember what movie it was, but it was an Asian dude who had been raised in England, right? And so it makes sense when you think about it, but it's like, oh, that's not what I expected you to sound like.
Yes, and I definitely had a Japanese teacher in Japan that learned British English, so she had a Japanese-British English accent, and it was also very strange for my brain. We would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yes, I get it.
I, too, knew what Gravedigger was and also agree as a child of the 80s, Bigfoot was the top dog for monster trucks.
Bigfoot's still on. We were watching some monster truck the other night. They play it on NBCSN, I think, and they play it before some sports at some times.
Okay.
I was like watching the end of it, and then I saw Bigfoot, and I was like, oh yeah, Bigfoot was another one. That's right. And like they have like the Yeti now too, or something.
Sponsored by Yeti Cooler?
No, it's not.
Tyler Florence, his food truck road trip contest is a favorite of ours for Garbage TV. I've never thought of him being high during it at all. Now it's all I think of. Speaking of Garbage TV, Joe, too, do you ever watch House Hunters International? That's our #1 garbage show. People are always rich, white American assholes who want a McMansion across the street from a La Sagrada Familia or next door to the Eiffel Tower. It's a great combo of people hating and travel lusting.
Whenever we watch the house ones, it costs me money because we'll watch it and Rachel will get ideas. And so I try to avoid those ones because it literally affects my bottom line. Like, she'll be like, oh, I really like that they put these kind of blinds in. And then I'll have to go spend $600 on blinds, right? So that's a secret between us of why I try to avoid those ones.
That makes sense.
But no, I do. We have watched a ton of those, but I don't think I've ever watched House Hunters International. I watched like House Hunters Beach or like Beachfront once or something. You know, like they're all the same show, right?
Yep.
So like we've watched the ones where they go to like third world countries and want to buy like beachfront property and stuff like that.
Whenever I used to watch those shows, because like, those are the shows that my parents and my sister love, and there's like whenever I go to my parents' house, like it's always on there, right? Because it's just either cooking show or HGTV show or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always just find myself getting so angry. It's like, oh, this $2 million home on the Bermuda Shore is not good enough for you. Like, okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah. Also, the running joke of like what's your budget? I'm a hamster milker, and she's a, stay-at-home knitting instructor. Like, their budget's $4 million, and you're like, how?
I mean, hamster milk goes for a pretty penny on the black market, so I wouldn't downplay that. In the FF1 truck scene at the end where the heist goes wrong in the desert, I always assume that after they save Vince and the truck drives away, the trucker drives to the gas station with a giant dinosaur from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's right in that area. We stopped there when we were driving through Coachella Valley a few years ago. It has a creationist museum in it now. Ooh, boy, cool. Boy, I went there on my road trip. It's like there's just like a dinosaur exhibit, dinosaur museum thing in the middle of the desert in California. Like when you come from Las Vegas towards San Diego, you pass by this whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, let me find this. Hold on.
Was there dinosaurs in California? Like, did they find fossils in California?
I'm sure I found it everywhere, I think, didn't they?
No, there was like places that were like higher concentrations of like dinosaurs.
Well, yeah,
I'm not
no,
sure.
like, like North Dakota and stuff like but
yeah.
Cabazon, California, home to the world's largest dinosaurs. I'm gonna send you my travel blog from that year.
Oh, thanks. You just want clicks. I get it.
Yes, you know it. I don't even have a click counter on this, but yeah.
Did they discover dinosaurs there is what I want to know, though. Because, like, this would make sense if there was, like, oh, we found this. Because it's not like a museum, right? Like, the Natural History Museum of every big state has dinosaurs. But, like, if it's in the middle of California, that had to be, like, someone's digging, finds a T-Rex, and they're like, shit, we have dinosaurs here. Like, let's just make the museum here.
Oh, yeah, this is for sure the same place, because I'm looking at the Wikipedia for Cabazon dinosaurs, and there's a whole subsection called Creationist Museum, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's in the movie The Wizard. It's in Fallout New Vegas. It's in the movie Palm Springs. Yeah, like this is...
Okay.
Yes. It seems like they just want to make money.
It's just a tourist attraction.
Which
I actually
love.
Some of my favorite things. Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
Well, I love it explicitly because of the video game Sam and Max Hit the Road. Them going around trying to solve the mystery of the missing Bigfoot. I love that game so much, and I think that's what instilled in me, like, the John Muir Museum, or, like, the world's largest ball of twine, or, like, just, like, Stuckies... or Snuckies? There's one of them is real and one of them's in the game, but it's just like all like the weird roadside stuff. So like when let me see if I can find, hold on. I'm gonna get another click from you. Hold on. When I first did my road trip, I like bought a map of the country, hung up like what was probably like 4 feet by 6 feet, this gigantic map of the United States on my wall, and I put push pins in for every baseball stadium, every national park, where I had friends. So, like, there's a little yellow thing, I think, in Pittsburgh. I think that's you.
There is.
I think yellow was Friends, maybe? I don't remember.
It looks like red is baseball and yellow is Friends, I think.
I think blue was, like, weird roadside stuff,
attractions?
I think, yeah, and I think green was like national parks and stuff. But like I had all these push pins, and then like eventually when I moved out of my parents' house, I took this map off the wall. It was the coolest thing. Like there was essentially like a map of the United States in pushpin holes behind it because I had so many pushpins on it. Because this was like just the first draft. Like I added a whole bunch more of like other places I wanted to stop and whatever. So
that's very cool. Here, you wrote the code at the bottom of this thing, you goob. Red pins are MLB stadiums, yellow pins are where I have friends, green is roadside attractions, blue is national parks. It's literally on the post.
I was just looking at the picture. I wasn't even reading the post. But yeah, of course I have a code. Why would I not have a code? You know me.
This is so Joey of you to have this, have this and the code, and it's saved and it's there.
Yep.
That's 100% you. I couldn't have written a better thing.
He says, I gotta go back to work, so I will end with this. Joey, do you remember a video game for Dreamcast called Seaman? Seaman. No, it was a super fucked up game where you grow a tadpole with a man's face in an aquarium, and he talks to you and sometimes berates you for doing things the wrong way. That's all there was. It was like a video pad. Back to work, Justin. No, I don't know Seaman, but that sounds amazing.
Did it have an extension for the VMU? Could you take it with you like a Tamagotchi? Is what I really need to know.
I forgot about the VMU, but yeah, like, if you want to call your plays in NFL 2K without your friends seeing what plays you're calling, like, yeah.
The VMU was the most fucking awesome part of the Dreamcast, and no game ever really maximized what it could do. It was so fucking cool. I always dreamed that, like, you would be able to use this for something. And it was just like, nope, you could get like a mini game from the game that has nothing to do with the game.
Yep.
Or you could call your plays, which is like, that's cool, but also okay.
That's all the emails for today. Family@cageclub.me if you want to email in. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. Thank you all so much for writing in. Happy anniversary once again to Montez. And congratulations, Justin, on the camper.
On the Winnebago. Or the Ford. It's a Ford thing, I think he said.
Joe, on the streets, Fast Furious news. Is there any news that you have seen since we last recorded?
No.
Vin has a new song out, which I have not listened to yet. I meant to listen to it.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it either. We posted it, but I haven't given it a shot yet because I haven't been drunk enough to want to listen to Vin Diesel's songs.
Apparently, it's better. Like I've heard from a couple different places that it's better. That people like it more than the first one.
I didn't find the first one bad. It was just like a fun project. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, this is like not tangential news, but Sean Connery died today.
He did. Yep.
And that's kind of sad. I mean,
he was 90.
In the relationship. Yeah, but like in the relationship of like, he's a pop culture icon, and also James Bond is kind of like the beginning of Fast and the Furious, right? So
yeah,
they're related. I mean, like, you know, I'm sure that Fast and the Furious took inspiration from James Bond at some point somewhere.
Absolutely. No other news, I don't think. Maybe next time. No. Who knows? So there was actually, speaking of Bond, there was a thing that kind of sort of tangentially relates to our show. MGM lost $30 to $50 million because they delayed No Time to Die, and then they were the new Bond movie, and then they were talking about how it was going to come out for real, like, you know, Christmas time or whatever, and then they delayed that again. All this marketing they spent in that regard, they lost $30 to $50 million for that, which is crazy
because they overshot the date.
Because they were like, oh, this is for sure going to happen, and then it didn't happen. So then they were shopping it around to streaming like Netflix and Amazon, or Netflix and Apple, I think, explicitly, but they wanted $600 million for the rights.
Okay, cool.
And some movie recently was purchased for like $75 million. I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, maybe some have been like for 100 to 125, but like $600 million is like 4 or 5 times. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's $500 million.
Yeah.
For the rights to a movie is fucking incredible. Like, and you have to factor in it's a business, right? So like, are they gonna make $500 million from the rights of this movie?
The financials behind streaming are just insane, because like how many people are going to sign up, because it's like Netflix is the only place to see the new Bond movie, right? Like, you know, you're going to get people to sign up, but it's like, is that going to be
600 billion or 600 million worth? I don't think so.
Hey guys, editor/producer Joey here. Quick update. We recorded a segment about Lost Season 3, Episode 1. At the end of it, we were like, I don't know if this works anymore without Michelle Rodriguez involved. So we're going to put this segment on hold for now. Joe will still keep watching the show with Rachel. He will give some updates in the extracurricular activities segment as time goes on. But we're putting this on hold. Might try out the other idea that we teased but did not say at the start of Lap 8. We'll see how it goes. But just want to let you know, no more Ana Lucia Cortez, Leticia Ortiz lost for a minute, so thank you for voting, but the winner is nothing, apparently. So, and now, back to the show. But Joe, the last thing to do before I take a break and talk about Machete is the Fast and the Furious minute 98, I think? A title I don't like, but it's the only thing I thought of.
It makes so much sense.
Do a barrel roll. So in this minute, the race continues with Dom's car smoking. He pushes it even harder. Brian uses a second shot of Nas. Again, quarter-mile race, uses Nas a second time.
Well, it's a minute deep in this race now. So.
I know. I tracked it. It's, I think, a 96-second quarter-mile.
It's a little slow.
Dom and Brian both jump in front of the train, barely escaping disaster. Dom looks over at Brian and crashes into a semi-truck, which sends his car tumbling. And that's the barrel roll. He does one complete turn to the left, and then one complete turn to the right, and it's just like it's a lot of spinning, but he also lands on all four tires, so good job on you, Dom. Like, it was obviously a controlled burn, I guess, right?
And the car is shredded. Yeah.
You said, and I agree with you, that this is a tough minute because, like,
it's a lot of face action.
It's the same race that we've been talking about. We finally do see what we had both read about last time, which is the mirrored 31-34. You've seen at least two shots, but, like, I don't know what else there is to pick up on in this minute that wasn't in previous minutes. So, like, did you find anything?
The truck that he hits is a 1995 Freightliner FLD 120.
Okay.
The second thing that I found, which you're looking at right now, is where Dom runs into the semi.
Is it at the intersection? Let's see here. Oh, it's right in front of the Evergreen thing. It's still Evergreen. Okay, cool.
That was my whole point. So I think that you see the left turn 15 miles an hour sign. We see that in the movie. I'm thinking that at some point that this little driveway here in front of the Evergreen truck is where that truck was coming out of.
Okay, that would make sense. And it's a green truck for Evergreen.
Well, that's the cab.
I know.
And remember Nick told us that
still,
the cab. And there is still an Evergreen truck here. The only other thing that is interesting is that that giant pipeline that we see behind it is just gone. Remember we were talking about how it changed and stuff? There was an Evergreen sign behind them at some point, but because they're trying to convey speed, there's a couple instances where there's something written behind them, but you cannot focus it no matter how hard you try.
It also feels like they've passed Evergreen trucks and trailers and cabs 5 times in this quarter-mile race. I could just see it, but I think we'll just keep seeing the same thing, probably, right?
I think that and also if you look where you clicked, there's a lot of just stacked up trailers. So it's kind of like the docks in The Wire. Maybe 25% of them are Evergreen, so even if they are showing different places, you're still seeing...
It looks the same, right?
It looks the same, because it's just trailers stacked, so...
Oh, one thing that I'm not sure about, one thing that I've been tracking that I don't know if it's right or not, is the score, because, I didn't remember hearing... It might have been just really low, last minute, but in this minute we hear what I think is the Train Race by BT off the score, which sounds like it starts, but I don't know...
You're right, it didn't feel like there was a song last time.
No, and if you click on the music, not that you're going to listen to it now, but if you click on the music, there's something you notice here. It's kind of like a thudding, not bass line, just beat. It doesn't feel like the start of this song, so I don't know if it just jumps in the middle. I don't know what actually, what part of the song when the song started, but what we're hearing now is different. I don't know. Probably the Train Race by BT, but I don't know for sure. Because there's the next song we're going to hear, I think, in the next minute called Hand the Keys or Handing the Keys. This is got to be the Train Race, because whatever videos I'm finding now, the guy has not video of the minute, but he has
a screenshot.
Yeah, a series of screenshots that tell the story, right? So
okay, I
was kind of hoping that this whole minute would again be the race, just because I think it'd be funny, but that also means it's difficult for us to do anything, right? Because it's how much of the race, how long can the race actually be?
Yeah, and we had this problem when we had the other race, the Danger to Manifold race. These are extended, and it's hard to find new shit.
In the movie, it doesn't feel this weird or this bad or this long or whatever, but...
No.
Yeah.
No.
So the trivia question, and I don't know if this is a great trivia question, but it's what I was thinking, and I don't know what else it could be, but I'm happy to listen to anything else. How many complete rotations does Dom's car do after hitting the truck following the quarter-mile race? And the answer is 2. If we go with this, is rotations the right phrase? Is it the right thing to use, or what do we call this, or do you not like this question?
Flips? I think that this is all that we got.
Yeah, there's not much, right?
Who's on which side of the track as they jump in front of the train? Brian left, Dom right, Dom left, Brian right, whatever inversion of that is, and just have 2 answers.
Yeah, I thought about that, I think, last minute or something, but whatever we went up with, I like better, but I'm happy with either, because I had that same thought previously. Do you have a preference between the 2 questions? Because I don't think we need both, because they're both fill-in questions, but do you care one or the other?
No, I have no preference between the 2. I think an easy one might be nice, because we're getting near the end of the quiz.
Okay.
That's my only thought.
When Dom races Brian at the end of the movie, who is lined up on the left when looking straight ahead, when looking well, we could just say from the perspective of the driver's seat of either car.
Yes, that's fair. I had something else that I forgot about this minute that I want to tell you about. In this minute, because I was like watching it over and over again, the exact second after they both clear the train, Brian and Dom gives each other such like a weird loving look.
Oh yeah, like we did it.
Like we did it, but like Brian's like so excited that Dom is still alive. Like he's like, "Oh, yes, like there you are, my man." Like he like looks at him like so longingly, and it's very, very weird. But just watching it over and over again, it's like I really started to notice this. Like when it's happening so fast and then he hits the thing, you don't think about it. But like when you watch it and you're just coming up to that point, I'm like, oh, that's so weird.
It's that look that causes the accident.
Yeah, like them checking in on each other and like the tension that they have between each other is what causes Dom to not be paying attention. Yep.
Any other thoughts about this minute? This is a very emotional now minute. I had that
No.
same kind of thought, but it's like yeah.
No, but we always talk about like how like the romance is between those two, and like this is like the first like actual showing of it. Like I mean, like we get lots of like inklings in other situations, but like this is like they have this like tender looking at each other, gazing at each other moment right before Dom crashes.
Yeah, very true. Minute 98. So I think based on the thumbnails of the videos, I think the credits start in minute 100. So I think we're going to have at least one more full minute to talk about, I think, where he gives over the keys. And then I think we're going to have something, and then we're going to have to figure out if we're going to cover credits individually or all together and like track songs and stuff, or if we're going to skip them or what I think completionist, we need to cover each in some way, but I also don't know what we're going to, I don't know what there is to talk about in the credits, but we can figure that out in an episode or two, but we're getting very, very close here to the end.
Yeah, I don't know how maybe the credits can just all be 1 minute.
Like, yeah, probably in the document they should be separate, but I think they're all like discussed in a single episode.
Do you think that they should be separate minutes, really?
Well, I think in the actual document, yes, but I don't think we should talk about them separately, if that makes sense. Because they're actually physically different minutes in the movie. Like we don't have to talk about like for 2.5 weeks. We don't have to talk about the credits. But I think like just if there's anything like the song that's playing or like any like if this is going to be a reference document for I don't know some kind of lunatic to like ever reference, it'd be good to separate them in the document. But like here it doesn't make. I don't think it makes any sense to like.
Okay.
I don't know. Like there's
a
difference. But there's also not really a difference. Like it's just I don't know.
I was thinking you just have like a credits part.
I guess we'll have to see like what actual notes we take on the credits because I literally don't know what we're going to have like if there's going to be like maybe there's a lot to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be like a lot of background research on like who the fuck costume designer 3 is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I'm imagining.
All right, Joe, let's take a break and let us talk about continue Robert Rodriguez week of Machete with maybe possibly a special guest. Who knows?
Ooh, hint, hint, hint.
Hint, hint.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 140, Machete. This episode is brought to you by Roberto Lovato's Unforgetting, a memoir of family migration gangs and revolutions in the Americas. Newsweek listed Lovato's memoir as a must-read 2020 book. Shout out Roberto Lovato.
Shout out Roberto Lovato, and welcome back to the show and to Robert Rodriguez week and a half. This is Machete week. We are talking about Machete today with our very own former Federale. We have the one, the only, the Mikester. Hello, Mike Manzi. Hello.
Hello, Mikester don't text. How's it going?
So do you know the origin to that story?
No, I don't actually.
No, I don't.
Robert Rodriguez wrote the screenplay to this like forever ago, like so long ago, like back when he was writing Desperado. Right, so in 1995 he came up with the idea.
Probably when he met Trejo, took one look at him and was like, "Oh yeah, like this guy needs a movie."
Wrote the script in 93 after he wrote Desperado. Told Danny Trejo about this, right? Danny Trejo became obsessed with this movie and was like, you need to make this movie. I need to be in it, whatever, whatever. Robert Rodriguez is like, yeah, we'll get to it, but like I got work to do, right? And so Danny Trejo just kept calling and kept calling and kept calling and just like kept annoying Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez is like, why don't you just text? And he just says, Machete, don't text. And so that became like that was a
awesome.
Danny Trejo real life thing that became part of the movie. That became kind of like not the catchphrase from the movie, but like one of the most memorable lines.
Yeah, like one of his defining character traits. It's crazy. I never knew that story went quite that far because Machete, the character, showed up in a Spy Kids movie or two, right? Like, it's so
Yes.
weird that,
He's Uncle Machete, I think, right?
right, like he kept chipping away and like, that's great. Good for him. This was the role he was born to play.
The origins of this, and I think we talked about this very briefly in some episode recently, but this started, and we will watch the trailer later, but this started as a fake trailer before Grindhouse. Before
Yes.
Robert Rodriguez made Planet Terror and Quentin Tarantino made Death Proof, there were 4 fake trailers in that movie. At one point, Eli Roth was supposed to make Thanksgiving, which I would fucking love to see, because
Yeah.
goddamn, like
Still
all those
make
movies.
it. It would be
I
great
know.
if you find out that the Killer Pilgrim was Keanu.
Oh man, I mean, because we also have Werewolf Women of the SS with Nicolas Cage as Fu Manchu. Like that would be great. Edgar Wright's Don't would be great. Like all these movies would be fantastic. But this one, I guess, because it was a real thing and because there was, it's Robert Rodriguez who does things dirty and cheap and whatever, was able to do it. It became a real thing, and it's so good. It's so wonderful. It's so
So
weird
good.
and prescient.
Oh my God, is this movie like more sort of relevant now than then? And it was relevant
Yeah.
then, but I was shocked watching it now. But if I could just take you back to when Grindhouse was out in theaters and I'm sitting there and this trailer comes up and like this was the movie I wanted to watch next. Like, don't get me wrong. Love my Planet Terror, love my Death Proof, but like my whistle was so wet I could not wait for this movie to come out. So out of all the ones you listed about the trailers, I'm just so glad that this one got made, and they got a sequel to it too, which I'm eager to rewatch as well.
Yeah, so we got Machete Kills coming on Friday. There is the oft-rumored, talked about Machete Kills Again, or I think eventually got retitled Machete Kills in Space.
Yeah.
Which again, very Fast and Furious appropriate. But yeah, I saw Grindhouse in theaters, and I love this. And I think I told this on maybe on the Death Proof episode, but after the first movie ends, this like group of 4 dudes, because the theater's not very full. After the first movie ends, after Planet Terror ends, this guy in the row ahead of me gets up, and his friends are like, "No, dude, there's another movie." But then, in addition to another movie, there's the 3 trailers in the middle, and just man, oh man, it is just so wonderful.
And the old ads and stuff were so great. Oh, so like
Yeah.
the drive-in cards and everything, so fun.
Like this movie is restricted, and there's like a cat clawing and meowing and whatever, right? That's just great.
You guys both love Grindhouse. As far as I know, everyone that saw it that I talked to loved Grindhouse. Like, why didn't this take off and become a thing? Like, it just boggles my mind. Like, I understand Tarantino is Tarantino. Like, he's probably not going to come back and do more movies. But to, like you say, have Rob Zombie do his and new people. Like, there was talk that Jonah Hill was like, yeah, I want to do one, and it's going to be like an 80s boner comedy like Meatballs or something. Like there was like momentum going, and then suddenly it just felt like it all hit a brick wall. This movie comes out a few years later and still like the ball just couldn't get rolling anymore.
There was that Canadian movie Hobo with a Shotgun, because I think in other regions they made like they included the trailer Hobo with a Shotgun, or maybe on like re-release or something. Like in some iterations of Grindhouse, the movie Hobo with a Shotgun existed, and they made that actual movie. But like it, I haven't seen that in a while, but I remember it not being like just like yeah, that's what that just feels. Yeah, like it's good. Like it's not, it's not bad. It could have been worse, but it's like it doesn't feel as special as Machete or as Grindhouse or whatever. Like it feels of a type, but not exactly.
It seemed like there needed to be at least sort of a name attached to it, right? Like someone in some kind of genre success already. Okay, like from what I understand, the Hobo with a Shotgun movie is the guy's first directorial thing, right? So like there's just no cachet to the name of it yet, even though Rutger Hauer, I believe, was the Hobo. At least we got Machete.
So the very cool, almost major fast action. There's not a ton. I mean, there's like a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, but there's not a lot. I mean, a lot of it's just about sort of the origin of the Machete character. The biggest thing, and I thought like I had to look her up because I was like, I don't think this is her. Like, I don't think I'm just being racist. But it turned out that I was not entirely incorrect because the henchwoman, who is like Steven Seagal, who plays for the first time in his career
Yeah.
a full-time villain, his henchwoman was like, she looks so familiar, and it's because the original casting for that role, or the originally considering for that role, was Devon Aoki, and
No.
she kind of
She
looks
looks
like a
so
heavier
much like
Suki.
Devon Aoki.
Yeah.
I thought the exact same thing, dude.
And
I
like
did.
the first scene, I was like that, and I'm like, no, it's not her. And then like she comes back, and I was like, wait, I have to check, because like if I come into this recording and I'm like, yeah, let's just talk about the movie, you're like, yeah, but let's talk about Suki. Be like, oh shit, that was like I had to check, because I was like, it's not her, but like, is it her?
It's not.
And the fact that she was considered for it, I was like, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, because like it looks like her.
They just found another girl that looks a lot like her. Yes.
Did the girl who plays Suki, did she play Miho in Sin City? Because that's who I thought it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's who I got. Because it looked like it was supposed to even be the same character. Just like I know Rodriguez likes to do that sometimes too, not just with actors, but like.
Yeah, because he repurposes like the characters, but like the crazy babysitter twins who were in Planet Terror is in this.
His
Jeff Fahey's
doctor.
in this. Yeah, like everybody. Tom Savini's back. So like all these people that Robert Rodriguez loves to use over and over again show up here, and it's so cool to see. Like, I don't want to say Planet Terror is a prequel to this because they're entirely unrelated. It's not like in Planet Terror there's like the radio thing which is like pouring one out for Jungle Julia or Fallen Hero or whatever, right? Like it's connected. It's in the same universe as Death Proof. It's in the same world, but they're not connected, right? So.
Yeah, you know what it reminded me a lot of, because like even Cheech shows up here.
Yep.
Dusk Till Dawn, like it's the same crew. Like that's even probably the genesis of Grindhouse, right? Where they're like, hey, instead of us teaming up to make one Grindhouse movie, like let's each make our own and release them together. So like I got a lot of that vibe back here again with this movie, and that was just a lot of fun to feel.
So now, Joe, you had never seen this before, so what did you think of Machete?
I can't believe it took me so long to see it. I loved everything about it. I loved how funny it was. I found myself like laughing at all kinds of different parts. It was really lighthearted. I'm not usually like a gore person. I think it was done very tastefully here. Like it had a purpose and it worked really well. And also like just like the lightheartedness throughout the movie, like the tone of it is really fun. So I have no complaints at all. This was great.
It's lighthearted, but it's also it's very MAGA.
No, it's
Like
it's
Robert
so
De Niro
yeah.
is Trump essentially, right? He's like a senator. Like he's not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is all sort of built off of like the Bush administration too, right? So like Robert Rodriguez was able to see ahead, project the future a little bit further, because this sort of feels like a dystopian world, but it's yet the one that we've sort of caught up to.
It's the kind of thing where you could be like, oh my god, how do you predict it? It's also like, okay, so it's a Mexican director living in a border state and like
Right.
having to deal with this, like the racism and just the xenophobia and everything of just like growing up in Texas, and he like became successful. But like, if you're
That's
not
part
a
of it,
straight
too.
white dude of color, if you're
Yeah.
not us, like this country is terrible, right? Like it's something that it's like, oh my god, how did he get that right? But it's like, well, how could you not almost, right?
Yeah, how did we not see it,
Yeah.
right? Like more so.
Yeah, and then I also look at like the cast of this movie, right? And it's the Latino cast, like from head to toe, right? And they're all like the women and our girls are getting it done. Like the women are the roles in power, like they're police officers, they're revolutionaries, and I think that's great. Like it's not dependent on sort of like conventional social tropes, like I think because it is through his lens and his worldview, I'm being hip to things that me as like this privileged white guy is just not, right? Or at least I have to read about or see it on the news and catch up to it because it's not firsthand experience for me. So I rely on guys like him to sort of show me that stuff.
And speaking of those female revolutionaries, we have here Michelle Rodriguez as Luz, who has a taco truck, but she is also, more importantly, which is modeled after Che with the art and everything like that. But she is a revolutionary. She has the network, which is her way of getting immigrants across the border and getting them papers and getting them set up and like not only getting here but like establishing a life here. I couldn't remember, like I said the last episode, Joe, like I don't remember how much she's in the movie, but like she's not Machete, but she's second
In
or
a
third
lot.
most. Like it's Jessica Alba and then maybe her, right? Like she's in the movie a ton and she's very important.
I was very surprised by how much she was in it. I thought she was going to have like a quick cameo, kind of, like we just watched Alita, so I was expecting like, something like that. But no, she's like a character that comes back and has multiple scenes and conversations and everything.
She's
So,
actually
yeah.
in Alita. She just didn't do the voice. I thought they used the same girl for every model of the android, and that was just a voiceover, but they actually CG'd Michelle Rodriguez in Alita Battle Angel for that one shot.
You see the picture of this? Like, scroll up in Discord. That's her and Rosa Salazar, because she is
That's
her
amazing.
mentor. On the moon, like that's Michelle Rodriguez, and so
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I love the Michelle Rodriguez in this. It just seems like in the movie she's in, she always has to be such a badass all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you get kind of like a softer side of her in this, and like, from looks to attitude. And I think that's important, and I think that's good that she's showing some range here. Like, she's funny, she's light, she's cute, but then she turns on a dime and she becomes like vicious and almost like this pirate or something. Like, it's really great how she can she's got range, and it's showing, and you just wouldn't expect it in a movie quite like this, I guess. But this is tonally like so well balanced, like between the message, the social messages going on, and the way, like, the tone of the sort of bombastic canon film-esque madness going on. You can't really take any of that kind of stuff seriously. So it's very interesting how it all works out.
I think that as we've watched more of her movies, though, she does have range. They just don't give it to her in a lot of movies. And I think that this character is a little bit broader, but not as broad as we've even seen her, like when she plays, what was the one with the high school teacher?
Milton's Secret, yes.
I get your perspective on it, but I'm saying we've seen like a much, much softer side of her
That's
this
good.
lap.
That's good, because I mean,
Yeah.
I have this issue with male actors as well. It's not just, Michelle Rodriguez.
Typecasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
And I think it's something that we have noticed. What we're doing here, Joe, is kind of like a mini podcast that you and I have done, or me and Mike have done, where it's like you're seeing, like, we're not doing every Michelle Rodriguez movie, but we're doing like 80% of it. Like, we're doing so many of them. We're doing it kind of in a condensed timeline in a weird way, and not exactly the same type of thing, but we're seeing her evolution in the same way that we don't want to see just Nicolas Cage play like the crazy one, or like,
Yep.
Keanu Reeves play like the stoner, or whatever he was typecast as for a while, right? Like, it's cool to see her not only be who she is by the end of the movie, where she gets killed, like shot in the eye and left for dead, and then comes back as full-blown she. That's, the Letty that we know. But also, more importantly, she is, like, not only the badass, but, like, a kind person who cares about her community, and, like, a small business owner, and just, like, it's like this, she contains multitudes.
Maybe this is because, like, I've been digging through my old comics a lot more during the lockdown and stuff, but this movie plays like I'm reading a comic in a lot of ways, in that she's got like a secret identity as like this taco truck selling tacos out of the truck, but then, like, by night she's where she like puts on the eye patch and like pulls out the gun, and like it looks like that. Like, this movie looks, speaking of Sin City, parts of it look like Frank Miller drew it. Like, you get a close up
so much.
You get a close up of like Danny Trejo with his blood-soaked 1-foot machete in his hand, and like it looks like something that Frank Miller drew with all those lines and everything like that. It's kind of shocking. I don't know how he established that look. Maybe it's part of like the aging and everything, that it all just sort of like gives an overall grimy feel to those moments more than it would if it was like pristine.
Yeah, this movie plays a lot like Sin City to me too. I feel you with the comic book thing. I didn't like make that leap. It has a lot of Sin City vibes to it, for sure.
Let's talk about Steven Seagal for a second, because, like, I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah.
Brian and I just talked about, we just watched the movie Detention, the Joseph Kahn movie, and at the end of that movie, it's not them, but there is kind of like a Patrick Swayze versus Steven Seagal fight. And I'm not going to explain how, but it's kind of amazing and wonderful. I forgot that Seagal was in this movie. I love Seagal. He would not fit in the Fastiverse, but I would also love to see him and Kurt Russell share a scene in the franchise, because, like...
Why would he not fit in the Fastiverse?
Because he's literally too big of a person, I think, at this point to fit anywhere.
He is a
No,
he is
I
a
want him to
beefy
be
boy.
like, that's exactly what I was thinking, like a Mr. Nobody, but he's like the samurai Mr. Nobody, right? Like, that's it. Like, so he plays Steven Seagal in a suit, essentially, is what I want him to play.
Because he's so good and so weird in this.
It's crazy. He's supposed to be playing a Mexican as well, right? Like, that's part of the gag, is that, for years guys like Chuck Heston, one of his most famous roles is he plays, like, one of his famous roles is he plays a Mexican in that Orson Welles movie that I shamefully can't remember the name of. I'm turning in my movie card as we speak, but but like, I thought that was part of the joke. Like, let's get a white guy and turn it around and have him, we'll do it as a gag. And maybe Seagal wasn't, I got it as a joke, like they were sort of more making fun of Seagal, and Seagal wasn't really too privy, and like it came across more meta to me, where it's like he's kind of like foolish. I love him, don't get me wrong, I grew up on his movies, but like they're taking the piss out of him, right? Like, they're cutting a promo in this movie on him, even to the point where like he has to kill himself because he can't be killed by someone else. Like, that's I don't know.
I think that's maybe it, or maybe it's like, okay, I'm gonna play the bad guy. I think this is the first time he ever loses a fight, but like he doesn't really lose the fight because he's like, I could walk away. This is nothing. But I'm going to, for like, for honor's sake, commit seppuku, commit harikari, right? Like, it's just like,
Yes.
I think he's in on it to a certain extent where it's like, I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to lose and be the villain and know that I have to because this is the place in movies or whatever. But at the same time, like, can I at least go out on my terms? It's one or the other, and I'm not sure. But either way, it's so weird and so good.
It's so weird because I've only known him to take himself too seriously. Like in everything he's ever done. A lot of his early movies are great, and I think it's because, he had a lot of control, and back then when he was a younger guy, like he was just really more in shape, and I don't know, he just could command the screen a lot better. But like by the time you get to that train movie where it's like, what is going on? And then
Under Siege and Under Siege 2?
Yeah, that second one, the one on the train, yeah.
With Katherine Heigl.
That's right. Oh my gosh, it's all
a
flooding
baby
back.
Katherine Heigl, yeah, man.
This thing is so star-studded. It's like, let's get as many obscure people to fill all the roles as possible, and that was a great one.
Because that's what I also love about this. Like, it is star-studded, but this is also Danny Trejo's first leading role. So it's like, yeah, we're going to have all these stars, but, like, our lead is going to be this guy that, like, is just, that guy, like, this scary-looking Mexican guy, right? Like, that's what people know Danny Trejo as, like, that guy on the set of Con Air that, like, is afraid of John Cusack. Which, by the way, John Cusack talked about in his episode with Mark Maron about, like, why that's the case.
Oh, I gotta check that out for sure.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. He can carry it. Like, he is so good, and I think he can't be maybe a romantic lead, but like in a movie like this that's written to him, like absolutely, let him do the thing.
Yeah, he is the strong, like he's the epitome. He's like Charles Bronson, like I mentioned Cannon Films earlier. Like this guy is like the strong silent type. I mean, there's really nothing more going on with Chuck Norris than there is with Danny Trejo, in my eyes, to be honest with you. Like they're kind of on the same level. It was really smart to sort of surround him with all of these other established actors. Like I call them stars, but like they're stars. Like we do have De Niro and stuff, but Jeff Fahey isn't really like an A-list act. He's great. He's Lawnmower Man, right? Like we got a lot of like established people. Lindsay Lohan, I mean, she's a star, but like not quite like you wouldn't necessarily
movie star.
I mean, yeah, but is she like
no?
What's the caliber? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the other side, is what I guess I was trying to get to. It's more stunt casting, I think, and that's really smart because they all bounce off Trejo like really well. Like I think he can walk through this movie and they part for him.
Because this movie is also like introducing Don Johnson. It's like, dude was a star in Miami Vice. Like, who are you introducing him to? Like, what? Like, but it's like that kind of humor where it's like, yeah, like you might not know this guy Don Johnson. He's not even like the main bad guy, or like he's just around. Like he's not even like important really.
He did a day and a half, maybe 2 days, right? To do a day and a night. That kind of gets to my one sort of gripe, and it doesn't ruin any of this stuff for me by any means, but I had the same problem with Grindhouse, Planet Terror, and Death Proof. Is like, I just kind of wish these were more period pieces. This one, I'm not as much anymore because of like modern times, right? Like it just really syncs up like too well. You said, Joey, just super prescient. But I remember that being like a problem with me the first time around, being like, he shouldn't be texting because he shouldn't even have a cell phone, because they shouldn't exist, because this movie,
70s, you mean?
Or the 80s, and I thought that's what they were going to be going for originally with Grindhouse. Doesn't by any means ruin it. I just thought I'd get my one sort of like complaint out of the way that I've eventually gotten over. I don't know if you guys had that sort of feeling, if it took you out of the movie at all, especially you, Joe, too.
I kind of like these movies that use a lot of the like 80s aesthetic but also exist in modern times. I think it's like a fun, interesting play on it. Like I like the diversion, like the juxtaposition that I get while I'm watching it, him to be like, it feel like it's an 80s movie, they're driving old cars, and then he's like, I don't text. So then you're like, okay, that's really funny. Like, it's a joke. It has to play comedically. If it was like more serious, I think I would take it. I would be more offended by it. Like, it would take me out of the movie more.
I think I also don't mind it because it probably saves money. Because if, like, you had to make a strict period piece, you'd have to be like, oh, we can't have that car, we can't have this, we can't have that. But, like, this essentially lets you do, in a way, similar kind of to It Follows, where it's like, when does this take place? Like, it doesn't really matter, but it's, like, weirdly vague and nebulous, and, like, it kind of is the 80s, but not really, because she's got that like e-reader, but it's not like an e-reader that exists in real life, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
And it's also interesting too because I can't really think of any other movie that does something quite like this. Like I'm thinking of like The Artist, which is a modern silent film, but it's a period piece.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of like that's part of it. But like I'm trying to think of a movie like this where it's like maybe even part of the joke or part of the fun is that they're riffing on the actual craft, like the type of filmmaking, like, you know, the abilities behind the camera. So it's like, you know, what if Robert Rodriguez just didn't have enough money to finish his movie and had to scrape it together at the last second? Like that could even be, you know, the case. From what I understand is like a lot of the footage from the trailer is actually most of that footage is in this movie, and he just built the rest of the movie around it.
Yeah.
And shot like what he needed.
Well, because that trailer is the movie, right? The trailer tells the entire movie story.
Yeah, it does.
I think the only thing that they reshot was probably the making out with Where's My Wife and Daughter, because it's different actresses, right? Like it's not the whatever, it's Lindsay Lohan now, but like everything else is like verbatim and literally from the trailer in the movie, which I think if you're waiting for that, it's kind of like there's a sense of on Letterboxd at least of people like, let's ironically enjoy this movie or whatever, and like people kind of disappointed, but it's like, well, you know, I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah. I don't know.
To like call myself out, I guess. It's like then just go watch a movie from the 70s that is doing this and taking itself seriously that was poorly made, right? Like go watch a Canon film because you'll get that which you're not getting, you know, fulfilled with here, I guess.
As I was watching this movie, I had a thought. When I was a small child and I was told I wasn't allowed to watch a movie for whatever reason, I imagined every movie that I wasn't allowed to watch was this. And to get that on film is so incredible to me. This is like what a 6-year-old imagines, or like what a 10-year-old imagines an R-rated movie is.
What, just like nudity and guns and explosions and swears and like blood everywhere and just like everything that your mom doesn't want you to see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this is what I thought. Like if my dad was like, I'm gonna watch this movie, and he'd be like, oh no, you can't, like, no bud, like you're a little too young for this. I was like, oh fuck. And like in my imagination it would have been Machete. Like that's what this movie was. They're not, you know, it's like there's a bunch of different reasons why a movie's not appropriate for children. My like wildest dreams were like, I'm missing a ton of movies that look like this.
I definitely hear that, like the idea of sort of maybe building it up or something, because I look back and I was like, yeah, when I was too young to watch Rambo 2, in my youngster eyes, like it was Machete, like it was brutally violent, but it's not, it's like pretty tame, you know, like in comparison.
Exactly.
Like nowadays it's almost ridiculous, one could say, like how crazy that movie is, and they even did end up making a cartoon based off of Rambo. And I hear you though, Jotu, like this is supposed to have, like, that's the whole concept here, is like it's a little bit of everything you're not allowed to have, right? So you have your your guns, your violence, you have your nudity,
boobs,
your drugs,
boobs,
right?
Drugs, exactly.
Just like all of it.
Speaking of nudity, Jessica Alba, who I think this has been the case in more than one movie, had a no nudity clause in her contract. So like I guess when she's in the shower and whatever else, that's all digitally removed, which somehow feels like ickier. Obviously, I guess she was okay with that, but like I don't know, it's just a weird thing, man. It's strange.
I think the no nudity clause should be like, I'm not allowed to be in shower scenes and things like that.
Were you guys gonna miss that shot? Like, did it establish her character any further? Like, it's just
so there's a deleted scene where she plays her sister, and her sister that I think she maybe jokes about, and I watched that. I didn't watch all the deleted scenes, but like, because I looked at her name, because like everybody in this movie has like a cool, like there's Luz and there's Machete and there's like henchman or whatever. We got Stasiak in this movie has a henchman, right? Like as the sniper. I was like, what is? Because I don't know. I just kept writing down Jessica Alba, and like I don't even remember her name, but I was like, it's just some generic kind of like, oh, okay, that's just the name. And then there's another character. I was like, what? And so there's a deleted scene where she plays her sister, but I think the strip club owner from Planet Terror, who is like Cherry Darling's boss, who like, you know, winds up with the crazy babysitter twins. I think he's lying on a bed and she's like sitting on top of him, and like she's not like naked, she's just like fully clothed or whatever. But like the way it was described, I was like, is this gonna be some kind of like scandalous scene? And like, no, they're just in bed together, but not really. Like it's just a very tame for a movie that is, you know, Lindsay Lohan and somebody else topless or covered topless or whatever, right? Like Jessica Alba in a shower, cool, but like if she doesn't want to do it, just, Hollywood, especially considering, like, this is probably also a Weinstein movie. Like, it's all that kind of whatever, right? Like, it's all...
Yeah.
Ugh.
Can you imagine if, like, you're the director and she, like, look, but I'm not going to be nude in it. So he, like, writes in, like, all of these jokes, like, when she was in bed and she's like, oh, I have my pants on, thanks. Like, you write all these in to be like, yeah, sorry, we can't see you in underwear. Like, this is, like, he's, like, writing a joke to himself. Whenever I'm, like, taking notes on something, I write jokes to myself in my notes all the time. We see that in that scene, so, like, now that I know that she had, like, a no nudity clause, and she's like, Danny Trejo, like, come lay with me, and then she wakes up like, oh, do I still have my clothes on? And he's like, yeah, that's just because you don't have your clothes on.
Like, I just put it in there because I remember seeing this a while ago, because I think when I was younger, I was like, oh my God, like, nudity. Like, let me see. This came out a decade ago, so it's not like I was really young, but you know what I mean? But, like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing this side-by-side comparison of, like, what she actually wore and then what was removed. And it's like, now there is literally AI technology that is disrobing, like, it's so fucking creepy. Like, there's a thing that,
Yep.
like, they took down last year where it's just like, hey, like, send us a picture of whoever, we'll send you what they look like naked. But now that they rebuilt it, and there's this site where it's just like, and there's like a lot of underage porn, like, it's all gross. Across the board, like, illegal and icky and immoral and awful. But that's this. But, like, this is like, in a theatrical movie, A-list actor, it's just like, I don't know, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's sort of taking the concept too far. Like, I understand it's grindhouse and it's supposed to be titillating and provocative and all this, but that's not. We got enough of that without this one shot. Do we really
Exactly,
need
yeah.
this shot? Like, that's what it comes down to. And yeah, the answer is no. And it's really just all kinds of weird. The digital touch-ups and all that kind of stuff is very skeevy. Now that we are talking about it, I remember that, like, coming out and being like, oh yeah, that, like, she's not, like, you can't see anything really. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, maybe that's what the clause is. Like, it's just not full frontal or something. Because I gotta be honest, like, I was pretty shocked that Lindsay Lohan was naked in this movie. Like, I thought her whole thing was that, like
very naked.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
so
and-
she's mostly covered though, but there's also that movie, The Canyons,
Oh,
that was
right.
written and directed by
Paul Schrader.
Paul Schrader, but Bret Easton Ellis wrote it.
Yeah, and James Dean, the porn star's in it,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
But, like, she's, like, real naked in that. Like, it's like, this is like she's topless, and, like, I think you maybe see, like, a nipple or something, but she's, like, mostly, like, her
Yeah.
hair is covering it, right? Like, it's,
Yep, yeah.
it's, like, again, sort of implied nudity, but she is, like, she's been, like, within a couple years of this, like, consciously breaking out. Like, Jessica Alba has been an A-list movie star for decades, right? And it's like, or, by this point, a decade she's been known, right? It just feels weird. Like, she's been Sue Storm.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Go check out Fantastic Force at HTML, where me, Nico, Kevo, and Jess Montez are talking about those movies. So it's just a weird thing. Like, I
Yeah.
get that in these movies you want to have that, but, like, you can have the weird scene in the beginning where there's, like, the girl that Danny Trejo, that Machete is saving, right?
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. That
And
gets it
she's
out
like,
of the way,
"It's
yeah.
too hot for clothes," and then she pulls a phone out of her vagina. Like, if you want to
Yes.
have boobs in your movie, like, you can do that pretty easily without having, like, Jessica Alba. Like, you can have, like,
Yep,
it's
yep.
weird, but, like, you can have any number of actresses who are like,
You could have just had the shot of her in her underwear and it would have had the same impact or made the same point, right?
Yeah.
Like, just have
Yeah.
the unaltered
Yeah.
shot. Like, it's not like she's in the shower. She's, like, in her bathroom looking in a mirror or something. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Joe, what did you see Fast Connections wise? There's a very big one at the end with Machete Chop Shop, but
Oh,
what did
boy,
you see
yeah.
Fast Connections in this
Yes.
movie?
I want to talk about something that's not a fast connection first.
Okay.
It was probably my favorite tidbit in the movie. Michelle Rodriguez, she has a taco truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see Machete when he's in that, like, fight at the beginning where, like, it's $500 the last 2 minutes. He's, like, eating a burrito and just, like, dodging punches. Very Steven Seagal-esque. Yes.
Very
right?
Street Fighter. I want to play as him in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes, very Street Fighter. Then we cut to Lindsay Lohan and her family eating tacos, and they're the whitest people tacos I've ever seen.
And they're also pre-assembled. Like, the mom made, or
Yes,
whoever made
that's
the
what I'm
food.
They're using only flour tortillas that are, like, too big, and there's, like, just eggs in them, or, like, maybe just cheese. And I really liked... The whole point of the movie, right, is that they're, like, anti-immigration. And then he shows white people eating tacos, and they're just, like, the most unappetizing tacos ever. And, like, that small joke was just, like, so good to me. Like, I really, really enjoyed that one.
And also the conversation they're having is about how she's essentially, before there's OnlyFans, like, starting an OnlyFans, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yes.
Yeah, she's, like, going to be an influencer or something.
A naked influencer.
Yeah.
A naked influencer. That's what she wants to be.
this
Yeah.
is what my viewers want to see. Me and my mom naked in a pool together. It's
Right.
like, what?
Yeah, man, she was ahead of the incest porn curve by a decade. It's out there. I mean, look. I mean, I don't need it. I'm just saying. It's not my bag. I'm just.
Dude, that's why I'm laughing, man. No worries. No
none
judges at all.
None of it's real anyway.
It just hit really hard at the right moment.
Well, I know
for me,
you
so
guys. I know this is the place where I can be myself.
say whatever
I can
you
say
want.
what I want and be free.
I have no comment. Imaginary.
Moving
offenses
on.
form at all.
.org.
Okay.
That's the one scene in the trailer that you're like, how does this happen? And you're like, wait, that's how it happened? Like, it's wild. It's like...
Oh, there's a couple things that feel like incredibly forced, but that's part of the fun I felt. It was like, how is he going to connect these dots? He's got like a little more than half of a puzzle already. He's got to like make the other pieces and make it all fit together. I thought that was kind of charming. Like, he just adds the Robert De Niro character. You're like, that guy's not in the trailer at all. There's no mention. Well, maybe there's a mention. I want you to like assassinate the senator or something, but I don't think we really see.
Now that you guys brought up the senator, his name is what? Michael McLaughlin, right?
Robert De Niro plays Senator John McLaughlin.
At one point, they call him Senator McLaughlin, and they say senator really fast, and it sounds like Sarah McLaughlin.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's really interesting, but it was only interesting because his right-hand man is named Michael Bluth, which sounds a lot like Michael Bluth. And I was like, is he adding these names on purpose as like references to other things as jokes?
I mean, maybe they're notes in the margin.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just things that are on your, like, if they were on TV at the time or in the public conscious very heavily, like he might have tried to slip some stuff in.
I was thinking about it. I was like, oh man, this is like next level meta if he's like starting to put in like these kind of like weird name things that like Michael Booth. Like, come on, Arrested Development had to be out.
That ran like 03 to 05 or 06-ish, so like it had been over for a couple years, but like people know Michael Bluth by now, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was making a couple of jokes on their names like this.
It's weird that there's some, but there's not others. Tom Savini's name is Osiris Amanpour. Like, what? What the fuck?
I loved how Machete and Cheech were brothers. That's great.
Sorry, bro. I mean, Padre.
I got a couple notes, but one I forgot. We've been talking to Jessica Alba. She works for ICE. I didn't even hear of ICE until like 2 or 3 years ago, and yet like I had heard of ICE because I've seen this movie. But like, wow, what a different context that rings.
In terms of that, and not exactly real life, but just more Fast and Furious. Well, first of all, Jessica Alba back from Into the Blue, the movie she did with Paul Walker. We talked about that a long time ago.
Oh,
Nice.
Paul Walker
Do you think?
Right,
I wonder if her and Michelle Rodriguez had any Paul Walker stories.
Maybe. Ooh. But speaking of Paul Walker, that at the end when Machete and Rogelio Torres, when Trejo and Steven Seagal are fighting, they're talking about how they both used to be cops and then, one became bad and one became good, right? So like it's a very Brian O'Connor cop turned something not cop, right? So
Cop turned not cop anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got a heavy Fast and Furious vibe at the end of the movie when all the lowriders had the rocket launchers and machine guns.
Yes.
Oh, so epic.
It felt so much like 2, like when they all pull out of the thing. Like, it wasn't as grandiose, but it felt like all of the cars, like, on a stampede like that.
It had a bit of a Twisted Metal feel, if you know that game.
I love
it almost
Twisted
looked like
Metal.
a stage from Twisted Metal, too, where they're fighting at the end.
I miss Twisted Metal, man. I think they just made a new one, by the way.
But yeah, that ending from Machete's chop shop with all the lowriders and the choppers and everything,
Yes.
it's just like, it's such an embrace and such a loving, that's Mexican culture, right? Like that's in a way that we've been talking in this lap about what is and what isn't, right, Joe? Like this is a celebration of that, and it's so good.
And using a culture, to see a culture versus using it as a backdrop.
Yep.
I think that you definitely see, like, cultural nuance here.
Well, I was going to say, I think there's even things throughout the movie, things I even still don't understand that I feel are, like, deeply rooted in just Rodriguez's family in general, like the whole thing with the cracking of the egg under the bed, like that can
what is that? I have no
that
idea.
can only be like a family thing, almost kind of like a good luck
cultural.
thing, right? Yes. So
I
like
took it
that's
as like a
interesting.
healing thing that she was doing it so that
It
he
is.
would
It's a
heal.
cultural
Yeah.
thing that I've never heard. I mean, like, obviously I know all the goofy Italian ones, but I've never heard of the egg under the bed, and that's something that just didn't exist to me, right? Because it's not something part of my experience.
And what I also love about that scene is that, Michelle Rodriguez is like being caring and loving and bringing him into her home and putting him in her bed and just like whatever. And then he reaches for her and she just says, "Don't start what you can't finish." Then they have sex. Like, it's just like, you can't, no one is immune to the sex appeal that is Machete. So,
And it's all like quadruple spaced, right? We just
Yes.
fade.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I imagined a bad movie was as a kid, like a dirty movie, because it was like you just quadruple space that, but there's also boobs in it.
The priorities are so scattered. Like, so it's like, I don't think this really has to do with much except for Danny Trejo. This might be taking like a sharp turn, but I'm watching this movie. In my perfect world, if I could snap my fingers like Thanos and remake reality, Danny Trejo would be the perfect Wolverine. Like he is Wolverine in this movie. Just oh my god, like looks like him, like acts like him. Is just no bullshit, tough as nails, motherfucker.
That's awesome.
I would love that. That'd be very cool.
I mean, like, he's like a little older now.
Right.
I mean, like, just
yeah, he couldn't do
but,
it
like-
now, perhaps, but like, yeah, one day he could have, maybe.
or he could be like older Wolverine in like a movie at some point. But yeah, blew my mind. Yep.
Yeah, I blew my own mind thinking. I was like, damn, Mike. I was like, I don't know where that came. It's again, reading all these comics had me going.
There is another sort of Fast and Furious type detail that I poured over and I tried to find, I think, interesting, but they show his record at one point. They look him up, right? And his birth name is Machete. So his mother named him Machete, but his last name is Cortez, so we've been watching Ana Lucia Cortez. And I think we did that recently, Joe, where we're like, oh, she's got the same last name in this movie and that movie, but it's just like, yeah, they're just like common Hispanic last names, right? Like,
Hispanic
it's just,
names,
you know,
yes.
don't read too far into, like, it's not a coincidence, it's not like a connection, it's just like
No.
that's a name that people have, right? So
But the biggest fascination in this whole movie, we get a full Letty. Michelle Rodriguez's character gets shot in the head, but we don't see a body, and she comes back stronger and better than ever at the end. Does this look like a little bit of Letty Left Eye Lopez here?
Oh my god.
how proud were you when you came up with that joke?
I've been holding that for so
I
long
figured.
this episode.
I will say this though, this movie manages to do in about 20 minutes what Fast and the Furious takes like 4 movies to do, which is exit a character and reintroduce them.
Very true.
Yeah, this is essentially 20 minutes into Fast and Furious 4 to the end of 7, right?
7. The end of 7. Yep.
So this is
exactly.
like 3.5 movies in the span of 20 minutes. Like, it's, yeah. Like, what's weird about this is that, I looked and I'm like, there's no way this movie's over 90 minutes. It's an hour 45, but, like, it doesn't really feel that. Like, it maybe could be shorter, but it's also not wildly long. There's kind of a lot of story. Like, there's more story here than there needs to be.
Right.
Yes.
Totally.
When we started this, Rachel was asking, like, is this going to be like Alita, where there's like a bunch of different storylines running at the same time, and we don't really get a tie, right? Like, we don't like bow it up at the end, and it's absolutely not.
I mean, the trailer tells a story. This basically tells the trailer, it fleshes the trailer out, essentially, right? So,
Yeah, it's weird because I almost feel like he ended up, even if it wasn't the intention, like I guess what kind of ended up happening with all the stunt casting is like, well, now that we have De Niro, we can't just like waste him. You got to use
Yep.
you got to use him for something, He's got to be a we need to do something here. So like it doesn't ever sort of like break its own back by any means like that, but it's definitely starts having to do some heavy lifting at some point. I don't think it was expecting to. And I'm talking about this movie like it's sentient in and of itself. Like it's the movie's alive. But you know what I'm saying? Like I think that extra 10 minutes or so is just like, oh shit, like we have to do this, we have to do that, and we have to do this. Okay, now we can get back to just like wrapping up the story.
One of my favorite parts that we missed, something that I had to rewind to make sure Rachel had seen, because she walked away for a second. They go to Michelle Rodriguez's house. First of all, there's a corkscrew that has like a bike chain. How? I don't know, but it exists. And I was like, oh, that's a little Fast and the Furious-y, right? Because it's like, kind of motory. He throws the oil thermometer into the guy's neck, okay?
Yep.
And then we go through, they throw the bomb in, and then the body flies out onto Jessica Alba's car, and the oil thermometer goes off. It says extra crispy at the end, and I was like, that was just so beautiful. Like the whole setup of bringing me to that moment, the epitome of filmmaking to me. Like, this is storytelling to the T. Like, you just brought me, even in this 2 minutes to just get me to that, I was like, oh, it was so worth it.
I feel like that's Robert Rodriguez. Like, that's his strengths and stuff. Like, I think he comes, if I'm not mistaken, I read his autobiography years and years ago, but, he was a cartoonist growing up, and, he had a strip in the local newspaper, right? So he's used to sort of telling a story in very small amount of of space. You get like 4 to 8 frames to tell a daily or weekly strip. I noticed that a lot throughout his films. Like that's why Desperado is like one of the greatest action movies ever, is because of his ability to sort of plan, storyboard, and foresee like all of the moves and stuff. It's very it's something you get a lot in cartoons, but I mean it's just good writing. And there's two other moments in this movie with like really great gimmicks that sort of play the same way. My absolute favorite moment of the movie,
Which I wonder if this is what I've been trying to say, like, because there's one note in particular. I wonder if it's the same thing, but go ahead.
is when he's in the hospital.
Yes.
And the doctor, he overhears him say how long the human intestines are, so he ends up slicing a guy, vivisecting him, grabbing the intestines, jumping out the window, and using it as a rope. And it's like, that's the greatest.
They talk about,
Perfect.
there's the crazy babysitter twins who are nurses here. I call them that because that's what they're credited as. Like, in the credits, they're credited as that in Planet Terror, like introducing the crazy babies. I don't know what their names. I think they're Robert Rodriguez's nieces, I think. Like, I think they're family members.
Ooh.
They are just these, like, lunatics, like these cute girls who, like, love, like, playing with, like, machine guns in his movies. Like, they're just, like, insane in Planet Terror, and they're just, like, badasses here. So I love them. They're great. They're like, learning from the doctor who's hitting on them, and it's all weird and creepy. And then he says, the human intestine has 60 feet. It's 60 feet long. It's 10 times the length of the human body. And they double up. They're like, oh, are you saying that it's 60 feet long? He's like, that's what I mean. And then I'm like, I wonder how long it's going to be before it comes back. I'm like, it's 90 seconds. Like, it's almost immediately. We're just like, oh, yeah, no, that's exact. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I love that concise delivery that they like set you up and just take you just enough away from it that you forget and then bring it right back.
Those are my favorite comedians too, like Rodney Dangerfield, like someone who's just set up punchline. And I feel like, as much as I love Atomic Blonde, and she does the same gag. She doesn't use
hose?
Yeah, with a hose.
Something, yeah.
She doesn't use an intestine. And as much as I love those movies, like they're kind of a marathon, right? They could get exhausting to watch that much fighting and that long, and it just keeps going, and you feel exhausted, like you're in the fight.
Totally agree.
And it's just great how he can just get in and out of these moments so quick and keep it loose and fun and stuff. The other gimmick that really stood out for me is when he first gets taken in the car and he machetes the guy through the back seat, and he uses him to turn the car left and right and stuff like that. That too, like it's the same stuff, man. It's so great.
We talk a lot about how in the Fast and Furious everybody's a hacker, and Machete is a hacker now too, because they're trying to hack Jeff Fahey's computer, and he's like,
Yes.
I love my daughter, and so they type in April, and then his password winds up being I heart emoji April, and then when they type that in, instead of saying like access granted, it just says bingo. It's like, well, that's very clearly not what it actually is, but like it's so wonderful and so good, and it's just so dumb and fun. I love it.
What year was Inglourious Bastards? Because that's the other movie with the big.
That's the year before this.
So that had the bingo in it as well.
Yes.
At the end, and and they're friends. So like maybe they said bingo a lot on set when they had like a good idea to each other, like Rodriguez and Tarantino. I could see that being like a thing. Is that a bingo? Yeah, I'm go with that. And then so like I don't know, worked its way into their movies.
When they're doing a lot of cocaine together. Bingo! That's what we're talking about.
I think the only other thing that I want to say, because we know that Machete will return in Machete Kills and Machete Kills Again, but at the end of this movie, and I don't remember her role in the second movie at all, I don't remember what the second movie's about at all, we have, when she returns, Michelle Rodriguez lose in her true she form. Like, her look is, I don't want to say iconic, because I feel like that word it belongs to someone else on this network, but it is just such a badass, cool looking role, and like it kind of sums her up in a way just amazingly so. Like all of her
It
characters
reminded
kind of
me
like,
a lot of the Confidence music video, right?
yeah.
I think, and I have nothing to corroborate this with except for my own eyes, but I think she, at the end there, is modeled after Snake Plissken.
Okay,
from,
that would make
from
sense.
Escape from New York. Everything but the tattoo on her chest, which she doesn't have a big giant snake tattoo. Danny Trejo's got the big tattoo in this movie.
A woman wearing a sombrero, I think, is listed in his file as his big chest tattoo.
Yeah, because in those movies, like, Kurt Russell he's got the eye patch, and then he's just wearing black with like tactical sort of like gun straps, and I don't know. It just got a very similar vibe.
And Kurt Russell, of course, another Fast in Action. Mike, any other notes, any other thoughts about this movie before we play a game or two?
We didn't really go deep into it too much, so I just want to reiterate just like how scary this holds up. Like it almost it plays better now than it did then, and it played like back then I was kind of laughing at it like like it's bad, but it's not this bad. And now it's like, oh my god, we're here.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really love about movies and rewatching movies is, it can be a completely different watch depending on who and where you are at that time. So yeah, I think it's even stronger film now than it's ever been.
Rachel's 100% with you. We were watching it, and she's just like, when was this made? Like, it feels like it was made within, like, the last 6 months, right? Like, you're like, holy shit.
That's our inherent whiteness, right? It's just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
new. Like, I can't
Right.
believe, like, Trump is so bad. Like, where did he come from? It's out of nowhere. It's like, oh no, like this has been going on for forever.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not even so much that. It's more just like, well, I guess yeah, it is. Well, who am I? I'm not trying. Why am I trying to like fool myself? Like, it's totally that Robert Rodriguez he's been dealing with this and other things that I have not had to my entire our entire lives and stuff. So right, that's exactly what's going on here. And damn, what's going on? Where I know that he's doing a Mandalorian episode this season, but he seems to have been off the grid until
Well, he made
like,
Alita Battle Angel.
yeah, but I mean.
That came out last year.
What did he do? What's been his? Has he been doing like Spy Kids movies? I mean, just saying. It just seems like before that he hasn't really been around.
So he did.
like-
I think he was showrunning, or he created, or he produced the From Dusk Till Dawn TV series.
oh, that's right. He ran an entire television network, the El Rey network.
Yes, there's also
is
the El
his
Rey Network, which Joe, I don't know if you know about this.
Oh,
Like,
that's
it was,
right.
It's local, I think, to Austin, maybe, but like exclusively shows like kind of his shit and like Shaw Brothers movies. It's like essentially like
I had this.
it's the best. It's the greatest.
I had it on Sling, and it's incredible. Like, I was watching El Rey all the time because it always had fun movies like this on it. It was like 80s kind of snuff type stuff, and then like his movies and Shaw Brothers movies. It was awesome. It doesn't exist anymore, right?
I have it. I've watched it. There's like a comic.
They made
I mean, again with the comic books, but like there's like a show where they just like discuss comics and stuff like that. It's like a panel and everything. So as far as I
that's
know,
cool.
it's still going. Yeah, and movies and everything. And I think they're doing like a Halloween stuff for this month. So I think it's still. I don't know if how involved he still is, but it's still up there.
I have it, so I'm looking right now. Yeah, I have El Rey Nation,
checking
whatever this
too.
is. It's not in HD. It's only in standard def, but I have its channel 198 on FiOS. So
No, I don't.
All right, so that makes sense. So that that's great that you're excused for not having made movies because you were running an awesome television
A whole
network.
fucking TV channel.
Yeah, you're basically Weird Al and UHF, just like doing it.
the other fast connection involved here is that Isa Gonzalez is the star of the series. So like she plays Madam M. So like there's fast connections to be found here. I'm just seeing what else he did. He did a movie called Red 11.
I don't know what that
Science
is.
fiction horror film written and produced and directed by him. Came out last year.
Really? I have no idea. I remember hearing that like in 2011 or something, he made a movie with, was it Malkovich, and they sealed it away for like 1,000 years or something like that.
What?
Did you guys ever hear about that? No.
No.
They
no,
said
not at all.
for 100 years. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for 100 years. Okay, yeah. So like they made a movie and put it in a time capsule, and like none of us are ever going to be able to see it.
Weird.
You were right though, Mike. Before Alita, there was a 5-year gap because he makes this, then he makes a Spy Kids movie a year later. Then he makes Machete Kills in 2013. Then Sin City 2, oh boy, a year after that.
That's right.
And then there's a
Okay.
5-year gap between Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, and Alita Battle Angel. So,
Interesting.
so he directed the Confident video by Demi Lovato, which we covered on here. I did not
Yeah.
know he directed the Rain On Me music video, the Lady Gaga Ariana Grande song from
Oh,
this
no
year.
way!
He did that. Very
Rachel
cool.
will be mind blown by that. That's a really good
Okay.
Which
fact.
I've seen that. I watched that one because I'm still I'm a monster or whatever her fans are, right? So,
That's what her fans call themselves, or monsters?
well, because there's Mother Monster, like she's the,
Yeah. They're little monsters.
monsters.
Little monsters.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Hey, I'm down with whatever. Monsters are cool.
Before we play
Yeah,
the
exactly.
letterbox game, do you guys want to guess what the body count is in this movie?
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Trying to run through it in my head.
It's a
I'm gonna
lot.
go with like 35. 35.
I was going to say 50.
You're both too low.
150.
Too low.
150. What do you say, Joe?
Nah, I'm gonna go 72.
Gotta go somewhere in between. One more guess.
90.
85.
98.
Damn. That's
Damn.
big.
Yeah, I felt like 30 was like high. I was guessing like,
He sure let them hit the floor.
oh.
I know. I feel too comfortable on this show. So that's
The only other note that I want to say is that Jonah Hill was cast in the role of Julio, who I think, I don't know for sure, but I think Julio is kind of the, if not white guy, the kind of white passing guy who
Oh, yeah.
loses guy, but he had to drop out and he was replaced by Daryl Sabara. But it was almost Jonah Hill in this movie, which would have been very funny, very cool.
He's the other Spy Kid. He's Junie from Spy Kids 1 through 3. He's like
Rachel was
he's the
just
brother.
showing me.
Jonah Hill is?
She was just showing me her phone
the
saying
boy,
this.
Oh,
the guy
Daryl
who
Savara.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy who replaced him.
I was gonna say, how did I
She
go
was
this
literally
long?
just showing me her phone saying that.
I was like, how did I go this long without knowing that Jonah Hill was a spy kid? Like, okay, that makes more sense.
No.
And then the spy girl, I think she's in Sin City 2, I think. The second, not also, I mean Sin City Part
As
2,
well.
I think. I'm not one of them. Or she shows up. I think maybe she's even in the newer Spy Kid movie. She reappears, but
I mean, he loves reusing people, and I think that's very cool. Like, I love that. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys want to watch a trailer? I mean, which I've seen. I don't know how many times I've seen this trailer. A lot.
yeah, I haven't seen it recently though.
I want to see it.
So now, I don't know what trailer this is. Like, I would imagine that the trailer that they cut for Grindhouse was the trailer that they used for this, right? Like, they
I
would
don't
make another
know.
trailer. I don't know.
Good call.
This is
I don't know.
official Machete trailer HD. It's 2 minutes long.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, play. I guess we'll find out if it's Lindsay Lohan in this or if it's someone else, right? So,
Yeah.
although no, I guess no, this is a different trailer.
Oh, this is for the actual movie, yeah.
Should we watch the original one?
Yeah, I don't. Actually, no, I kind
Oh,
of want to
look,
see
it's the
this.
shot.
The file.
That's the shot.
a shot with her in underwear.
in the underwear.
Rogue federal agent.
Shea Wiggum, that's Stasiak.
When he drops the flowers and the guns there, that was pretty badass
You
too.
don't know that's intestine. You don't know that she's fully naked.
Machete.
Is this the music? This sounds like the music from Planet Terror, but could be wrong.
Well, the music in this was done by Chingon, which I think maybe did the Planet Terror
okay.
music too.
I think that's his band, actually.
It might
Rodriguez's
be.
band.
Well, there's Luz at the end of the movie.
That's him.
There's also the band Tito and the Tarantula that is in a lot of his movies. It does a lot of his music too.
He's coming after us.
Wow, I never knew they made like a. Oh wait, was that Luchador in the movie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was in
I
like
didn't
one
see
scene.
that.
I think
Oh,
one version. I
right.
think.
He should have been like the big bad's hench guy or something.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
Like, this makes it seem so serious. Kind of.
No, I want to see the other trailer. Can we watch the other one?
Yeah, hold on. We'll do that next.
This is bizarre. I've never seen this one.
I don't like this. Like, it's just weird.
It feels very 2000-ish, like the way it's cut. It looks like Windows Movie Maker or something. Or
Yeah, but like, this is 2010. So, like, it's late, right? Like, it's.
Took a vow of peace. Now you want me to help you kill.
It's not affected either. Like
Padre.
it's pristine. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a clean copy. Like
Yes.
And like, I guess you can't do the other trailer because like you have naked
can't do
women in
it.
it, right? So like you can't
Yeah.
Machete Grindhouse trailer.
Yeah, but then you just put those black bars on top of everything. Like then it's ultra sleazy.
Oh, I like that idea, Mike. That's a good idea.
I got all the sleazy ideas.
No, it just like
No,
the
I
black
know.
bars makes it seem like so risque, right? Like
Yeah.
then you're like, ooh, I want to see that. Yeah.
Like you could just put that over a pair of eyes and it'll feel wrong.
Okay, I think this is the right one. There's like several different lengths. I think this is the right one though. So this is Machete trailer posted by Debbie Ironmonger. Cool.
That's a great name.
She posted this November 9th, 2008. Trailer featured on Planet Terror. This trailer has to be for the ultimate macho movie. Wish they would make it for real. Well, Debbie, boy, do we have a movie for you. All right, let me know when you guys are ready to watch this one.
I'm ready. Whatever.
Ready to
you
go.
are.
3, 2, 1, play.
Okay.
They call him Machete.
Called him Machete.
Nice.
$7 a day for yard work. 100 for
This line's in the movie.
Yeah, so far this is all in the movie.
125 for septic. Sewage. Have you ever killed anyone before?
Like, it's so good.
We know illegal aliens
It is.
itself are being forced out of our country at an alarming rate.
I like this music a little. I don't think we get this music in the actual movie.
Like the
It
thumping
feels
kinda
it,
heartbeat.
I will pay you 100.
with like that weird theremin stuff. It almost sounds like that
He was given an
BMX
offer.
Boy movie in the future was
Oh, Turbo Kid.
Turbo Kid. Yeah.
So the Stasiak character was recast because this is not Stasiak. This is some bald guy.
Yeah.
She knows
But it looks
us.
like all this. It looks like they just reinserted shots of him.
Yep.
And left for dead. I took a vow of peace. And now you want me to help you kill all the
I mean, Padre.
I mean, Padre.
The crosses, the light.
What I can do.
God, it's so
I
good.
know.
It's so good. Like, I don't know that like, I don't know that you need Tommy Chong in this movie, but like, it would have been cool if Tommy Chong shows up, right?
Yeah, totally. In the chop shop or something.
Where are my wife and daughter?
Ooh.
So funny. Just so good.
Lucky Danny.
Yeah.
I love in this movie when he swings the machete and decapitates like 5 people with one swing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, how are you all the same height? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
That's so great. Just every every sword. That's like how I imagine Batman's cape on the inside, just laced
Oh.
with all
Yeah.
kinds of weapons.
Machete's chop shop.
Oh, they do
sign in the
more
movie.
here. Yeah.
Please, Father, have mercy.
God has mercy. I don't. Love it. Love it.
Such a great line. He's really good at writing those too. Yeah.
This is so great how it just affixes right to his bike.
The amazing thing is, like, you know, there's a lot of trailer, and like, you could make this trailer into a movie and probably be like 75 minutes, but they add the entire Luz storyline, the entire Jessica Alba storyline, the entire like backstory to the Robert De Niro stuff, the Don Johnson stuff,
Yeah.
like all the immigration stuff. Like, they
Yep.
fleshed out to be an actual, like, he fleshed out to be an actual movie, which is great. I do want to say that at the end of this movie, we have the ultimate Han and Giselle on the Autobahn with Jessica Alba sitting facing him on the motorcycle as they drive away, making out. Like, it's crazy.
I thought she's just like riding on the side. She's not even like sitting facing him.
Dude, but
She's just like standing on the side of the motorcycle, just like around his neck.
But also, I think is so good like about this movie. I think they really kept it, the spirit of it. I don't think they did a lot of takes, right? Like, I think a lot of this is just like 1 take, 2 takes. Like, let's just do it. Doesn't matter. Just like it's supposed to be dirty. And at the end there, it might maybe because it's at night, or maybe because he's kissing Jessica Alba. But like Machete goes to reach for the handlebars, and he kind of like can't. He like fumbles a little and misses and stuff. And then when they're driving away, it's obviously like a dummy that's just like strapped to him or something.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
it's just so great. Like the like all of that is intact, along the way. Like, I honestly doubt like there were like this took that long to put together. Like, it feels like, like a family film, like a party or something.
Well, I know that Lindsay Lohan shot her stuff in 3 days, and she's not in a ton, but she's not in, like, just a scene. Like, she's kind of in a decent amount of this, and so, like, if they did all
Yeah.
that in 3 days, like her at the drug house, and then her at the pool scene, and then her at the end of the nun outfit, like, if they did all that in 3 days, like,
When I watch this again, I want to go through and see how many people are actually, like, which actors are actually standing next to each other in an actual shot, because that's a way you could sort of tell, like, oh, they might not have been there that day. Like, that could be a body double they're talking to, or something like there's that whole sequence where Jeff Fahey's grabbing his daughter out of the drug house in the beginning, and it's clearly not Lindsay Lohan, but then you get in the car and it's Lindsay Lohan.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
There's got to be more of that going on.
all right, are you guys ready to play the Letterboxd game?
Oh boy.
Please.
For reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 658,000, still the same. We did not go up since Saturday, since we last recorded. 658,000 people. Machete, directed by Robert Rodriguez and Ethan Manicky. I don't know who this is. Starring Danny Trejo, Michelle Rodriguez, Jessica Alba, Robert De Niro, Steven Seagal, Cheech Marin, Lindsay Lohan, and Don Johnson. Just crazy. Just like the weirdest blend of people. How many people have logged Machete on Letterboxd?
First of all, when you say the cast list like that, it sounds more like an anthology movie. Like, this was like, okay, this is a tough one.
Oh, this game's impossible.
What do you guess,
like, the fact
Mike?
that Joe is anywhere near anything, like, ever is crazy to me.
So, Machete,
I got to guess.
okay.
85,000 is what I'm going to start with, and I think
85.
it's higher
Okay.
than that.
I don't know that it's that much. I'm going to say it's more like 40,000.
I will say the answer is between the two of you.
67,000.
But you got right on the head. 67, 188.
Whoa,
67,
what?
Ooh.
188.
What?
Average rating of
What?
3.01 based on 32,000 rankings. How many people of those 67,000 have put it in their
Ooh.
top 4?
You want to go first, Mike?
Okay. Man, that's more than I was actually expecting to hear, so I'm going to have to give like a big number.
No. You want me to give you like a hint of what I think it is?
Okay. Double digits? Triple digits?
I'm gonna go 35 is my first
Wow,
guess.
way lower than I was going to go. Okay, I was going to say like 120.
You're both too high. You got to go lower than 35.
Whoa.
Okay.
So like 15?
22.
24.
Whoa, Joe, again, you got so close.
I have the sneaking suspicion that he actually cheats at this game because there's no
I
way
don't.
that
I
he
swear
should
to God,
be-
I don't.
There's no way that he should be this good at this game.
I swear to God, I don't. I swear to like.
but
I
here's
can
the-
promise you, if there's anything like cross my heart, I'm not cheating at the letterbox game. 1,000%. Rachel, look at my screen right now.
I believe him,
Yes.
Joe won, because if I recall one time, I really lucked out and like got super close like that on one of my visits on your show and was shocked. So I could understand someone playing this like a lot would
Yeah.
sort of get a feel or a groove or like a sense or like a second sense of some kind as to like how this all shakes out. So whatever he's doing in his scientist brain up there,
You
I
have to
believe he's
factor
not
in, like,
cheating.
who the director is, what the cast is, and when it came out, and then the snobbery of Letterboxd. That's the factors.
That's the
That's
equation.
what I go through. That's my equation. Yes.
I also think that there is probably, and I do think that there's still like there's some weird voodoo going on, but like the way that I respond to things, I think Joe also factors in. Like I'm like you got to go way lower. Like there's intonations in my voice. I think that also sort of tip things off to just hearing me describe things. Maybe I don't know. Okay,
Yeah, it's like a tell. You don't even know you're doing
Oh, you got
it.
tells. You got vocal tells.
So
Maybe.
we're going-
I don't pick up on them.
we're going to Matthias at DJNR on Letterboxd. Review: Blood, Guns, and Boobs must be good. 5 stars.
Okay.
So Machete is his 4th favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
His top 3, 2 are from the 90s and 1 is from around the time of Machete. So they're all kind of recent, but not actually recent. One movie we have talked about on this episode.
Sin City.
No. But you're in the right ballpark in a way, kind of, sort of.
Inglourious Bastards.
Wrong ballpark.
Dust Till Dawn?
Yes, from Dust to Dawn. I was going to say wrong ballpark, but like Tarantino was in that movie too, so like not wrong ballpark. Just,
that year in high school, I guess it was a senior, I dressed up as Tarantino from that movie because it was such an easy costume. So I had like a bullet hole in my hand
Richard Gecko.
with the tape around it, the cowboy boots, and then the suit, and then the vampire teeth in my mouth.
Number 3 is a movie, Joe, that Brian covered on his show that we
Okay.
talked about earlier this lap because it is directed by a guy we have done a bunch of movies from this lap. We did a whole week about his movies, and this is a movie that I told you to watch, and I don't think you did.
Is it David Fincher?
No.
So Brian covered this movie on his show?
it's
You
a
would
high
not
school
think that
movie.
it's a high school movie. You really like when you think about the movie, you don't think it's high school, but it is high school. It's from the 90s. We did 2 movies by this director this lap.
Is this one of them? No.
No, but
Then
it
it's
is
not
a
The
movie that we
Faculty.
talked about at length on those episodes because I was like, you need to watch this movie because it's great. It is a parody, a satire. It's a satire. Co-ed locker rooms. I'm trying to give
Co-ed
clues that
locker
don't just
rooms.
give it away. Science fiction. Denise Richards is in it.
Oh, Starship
Tanny and the
Troopers.
T-Rex?
Yeah, Starship Troopers.
Tammy and the T-Rex. It had spaceships in it and co-ed lockers.
Number 1 movie is the first movie in a franchise that had a sequel come out 10 years later, and the sequel was bad. And the sequel just came out last year.
Terminator. No, not that one. There's sequels. I'm trying to go by his taste.
It fits his tastes.
The sequel came out 10 years later.
Yep. So this movie came out in 2009. The sequel came out last year. Same 4 leads.
Total Recall.
No.
What? They never made a sequel to that. That was
They
a remake.
remade it, yeah.
Also, that started as a. They all started. Even Minority Report started as a sequel to Total Recall.
There are 4 leads in this movie. They all came back for the sequel.
They all came back for the sequel 10 years later.
Genre-wise fits in still with what his other favorite movies are.
I know. I feel like I know this because I have a gut feeling that like I was maybe disappointed. I don't know what it is. I just have a vibe off of this.
It's a horror comedy. Mike, you and I both gave the sequel 2.5 stars. They added one of my favorite actresses to the sequel, and she was by far the best part.
Oh, I know this movie, Zombieland.
Yep, because Zombieland Double Tap came out and it was not good, but Zoe Dutch is amazing. DJNR, Matthias from Austria, his favorite movies are Zombieland, From Dusk Till Dawn, Starship Troopers, and Machete. 4 definitely
It's a good
of a
lineup.
kind. Yeah.
That's crazy. Like Dusk Till Dawn got a series eventually, but like also Zombieland. Did you guys ever see the pilot for Amazon that they did for a Zombieland TV show?
No. Definitely not.
It might be worse than the sequel. Like it is really flat. It's so weird. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if you were aware of that. It's basically like a mini remake of the first movie.
I also never watched the Amazon pilots because I don't want to get my hopes up for things that I'm going to get excited about, and be like, oh, like why would you show me the pilot that I'm not going to be able to see? Like, it just...
I think they realized they stopped doing that, yeah.
Oh, I forgot that Elon Musk plays Elon Musk in Machete Kills. I'm looking at the cast list right now.
Oh, great.
Spoilers! Fuck, come on, man.
But there's some returning faces, some new faces.
Oh, I'm starting to remember now. I think there's a man.
Oh my god, the cast for this is better than this one.
This isn't a spoiler, but Joey will know what I'm talking about. I think there is a person in there who used to be a man of honor, but is no longer a man of honor, if you catch my drift, from the movie Men of Honor.
Yes.
With Robert De Niro, who was in this movie. And so his co-star's in the next one. Very weird.
But his wife, or the Charlize, is not in this movie. But man, there are, let me count this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's like 14 kind of crazy big actors in this next movie, plus Elon Musk in a cameo.
I'm about it. I can't wait.
And I think they're all cameos in the true sense of like the word, where they're literally on screen for like a scene or a shot or a thing like that too. So
oh, okay, so like 4 of them are all something together, kind of. Which was there was one of those which was a big deal, and then I think that becomes other things. But yes, okay, being weird and vague, but we'll talk about it more on Friday.
Mike, are you rejoining us?
I
mean,
I will if you'll have me. It's it's
yes.
you guys, your
yes.
show.
No.
Well,
we said yes.
Kara did 2 Resident Evil movies this lap. I think it only makes sense for you to do 2 Machete movies this lap.
I don't want to overstay my welcome. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't...
Brian invites himself on the show all the time.
I know, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, I know you got Brian inviting himself on all the time, so I don't want to be that guy as well. Like,
no, you're welcome to. Please join.
I would love to.
Right around now, this comes out on Tuesday, I think next Friday maybe? Or this Friday? I don't know. No, next Friday is the Woodies. So I think you still have time to vote for Mike and my podcast, Thanks to the Memories.
Oh, yeah.
I already did.
You were one of the very first people to do it.
How did you know it was me?
You said, like, Joe 2 is so handsome at joeishandsome.com or something like that.
I cannot wait. I love... The last one was so much fun, what we did for Cruise. Like, I'm so looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be very fun.
Awesome.
I hope so. I think so. I hope so. I'm very excited for it. But, Mike, you also have a new show that debuted this past Friday.
The last Friday of every month, Dan Colon and myself have a new show called The Monsters That Made Us. And it is about, we are going to be going through the 31 Universal horror films. So your classic monsters such as Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dracula, the Phantom of the Opera, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and a few more along the way. Abbott and Costello show up. It's been really fun so far. I mean, it's just, we got the intro episode up, and the first episode's out now about the Phantom of the Opera, the 1925 silent film. Joey, I'm not sure, might be the oldest film ever
1925?
on the network.
When was King Kong? That was in the 30s, right?
Yeah, that was later. I think 30s or so. Yeah, 35.
I mean, there's honestly not a lot of movies at all that came out before 1925, right?
True, feature
Very
length.
true.
Like, unless we do like Man on the Moon or like train arriving at station. Like, I don't know.
Train arriving at station.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked about the Lumiere brothers snowball fight outside the studio on our episode, so like that gives you a little sense of like what there was, I suppose. But so we're starting with the 31. There were 31 like in-universe Universal horror films during the initial first run. So we're starting with that, and then Universal remade them, and there's like the Brendan Fraser mummies and stuff. So like we're gonna just work our way through, go back in time, work our way up again, and just see where we land. And
that's a blast.
But you were pitching a crossover today to us.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I was recording with Kyle Rydfried yesterday, and I was talking about this show, and he goes, it's interesting that there's another show on the network that also is under the Universal Studios. I was like, oh my God, the Fast and the Furious meet the Universal Monsters. He's like, yeah. I was like, I could not stop thinking about that like all night, And I think I don't know who, I might have messaged someone. I was like, what if what if Roman turned into a werewolf? Dom,
I love it.
Toretto, vampire hunter. Like, I don't know how you do it. But, like, there's got to be a way. They find the Dragula car. I don't know. Like, one of them, there's a lot of secret agent stuff, so one of them becomes the Invisible Man. My mind just goes off on beautiful tangents.
Because we've talked a lot about crossing over with, like, Transformers and with Men in
Yes,
Black
Jurassic
and with
Park.
Jurassic Park, but like we never talked about the Universal monsters, which doesn't make sense, but also makes as much sense as anything else we've talked about, right? So like, why not?
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays with like the new Invisible Man that's so grounded in reality, like obviously like Etion could have an Invisible Man suit. Like it seems right up their alley,
Yeah.
you know? Like that seems like, come on, Idris Elba's like a Frankenstein, right? Like they're already doing it. It's so good.
Cool. Anything else you want to plug or anything else you want to mention? Because I guess you'll be back on Friday to talk more stuff, but anything else between now and then?
Just go vote for the Woodies. Third time's a
And
charm.
vote in real life. This is Tuesday, right?
How appropriate, not intentional at all, but also I will take full credit for it, that our Election Day episode is Machete. Boy,
Yes.
Love it.
I'm really good at this. I'm really good at this.
You nailed it, dude. Your calendar, chef's
Just
kiss.
like Mind Control Week, definitely planned.
Happened. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Come back on Friday with Mike will come back for Machete Kills. Send us an email, check out our Patreon, do all that sort of fun stuff. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
And I'm Mike Manzi.
and we'll tell you all about it
When we see you again.
Oh, I love that sign off.